Hey, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Conversation Podcast here at Mccurdys Comedy Theater. Today, Les and I got to sit down with Norm Stultz. He was our headliner for the week. Norm has been doing it for 30 plus years, originally from Detroit. Very funny, very good storyteller. He's worked with Tim Allen, Larry the Cable Guy, Ron White, all these different acts. Been around it, been in the game forever. Real fun to talk to. Also, our feature act, Chris Gorges. Chris is a local feature / headliner. He's been doing it for a while as well, about 20 years, I believe. He started off in the Boston area, I want to say, Massachusetts. And he's real funny, a lot of energy, a lot to learn from that guy as well. And I had a special guest, Austin Young. He's a young open micer. Only been in the game for about 7 months. Love this kid. He's been working his butt off, getting up as much as he can. Very funny, a lot of potential. And it's cool. You get to see all the different levels of comics. You get to see Les, who's been doing it for 25, 30 years. Norm, 30 years. Chris, been doing it 15 to 20. Me, I've been doing it for about 2. And Austin, who's just a fresh baby, right out of the womb. Barely learned to walk yet. So had a lot of fun with these guys, talked about all sorts of stuff, and a lot of valuable information in this podcast. Even, if you are into comedy, or you're a fan of comedy, or you want to be a comedian, you get to really get a good insight into the industry and how to really make a whole career out of this. Not just, trying to get like a movie deal or get on HBO or something crazy like that, but just really turning this whole adventure into one long career and how to have a career plan. And a lot of good information in this. And I hope you enjoy it. Thank
you. Welcome to the conversation.
Oh, yeah, we're here. Mccurdys Comedy Theater, The Conversation. I'm joined with Norm Stoltz, our headliner.
Hi. Hi, Mike.
How's it going? We got Chris Gorges. He's our feature act.
Hi, Mike.
He's here for one night, I think, and then Saturday, Sunday, right?
Saturday, Sunday, yeah.
And we have our special guest here, Austin Young. He's a local headliner, or local open micer. Well, I jumped way ahead on your career.
Wow, you skipped about 15 years right there.
Exactly.
That was quick.
You better be worth it.
And I want you to know that, for those of you listening, that Austin's got the most comfortable chair.
Yeah.
That's right.
Chris and I are sitting on a bench.
Yeah. I
Mike's got
muscled
the
my way
swivel
over to this chair.
He's also the biggest guy here, though,
he's
so I was like, I don't know if he's going to fit on your guys' lap over
Well,
there,
if I was, I would take both those seats up if I were to sit where you guys were sitting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Les is running late, as he usually does.
Does he? I don't know.
No, actually,
Norm wore him
he's
down
usually
today.
very on time, so I don't know.
Yeah, he was on time this morning.
A little worried about him out there.
Norm wore him down on a course.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so did you guys play golf
Yeah.
today?
Yeah, we played over at Legacy today.
Wow, how'd that go?
Oh, it was great. Les
Yeah.
and I, and then a guy that I've known for 50 years, a buddy of mine, came out, and he brought
Wow.
a friend, and they brought a friend, and we had an Amway party. And
Really?
Oh,
An
that's
Amway
commercial.
No, it was, a lot of fun. Beautiful day.
Wow, it's
Good
been
golf.
nice.
Yeah.
Been real nice, which is odd for Florida. I feel like.
Is it?
Yeah, I always feel like it was hot last time like last year around this time it was pretty hot. It was miserable.
Yeah, usually, like, in the past, 5 years, I think October, even, Halloween, because when I was younger, Halloween was brisk, started to be brisk.
Yeah.
It's not like that anymore.
No.
Now, if you wear a costume, you have to, not one with a mask.
Right.
Because otherwise you die.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. With
No
your-
latex surrounding the face.
It was like an Under Armour costume. You know what I mean? It's like
Being from Detroit,
Gore-Tex.
it's, Halloween is you see all the kids they've got their snowsuits on. And
Yeah.
we got the fattest superheroes in the country.
Now the kids are all
The fattest-
kids down here in swimsuits. So they're all like,
Yeah.
we're lifeguards. All
Beach
of us
day.
are lifeguards.
yeah, that's great.
I remember years ago we had our kids down here and we were on the beach and Santa came by in a Jeep with shorts on. He had his Santa shorts on and stuff. My kid's like, Santa's wearing shorts. I go, yeah, he's got a thong too, but Mom told me about that.
Santa's on vacation. How about we
Santa's
not follow
chilling.
him?
Yeah, it was Christmas.
Santa. Was it a homeless dude?
No, it was actually Christmas time. He was,
was?
he was running up and down. I think we're in Venice.
I
Oh,
thought
wow.
he was
It's a Clearwater, one of those.
I thought he was gonna say no. It was actually Santa. I don't know if you know.
It was really
It's actually
Santa.
I'm young, but not that dumb. But yeah.
When did your parents ruin it for you?
I think I kind of called bullshit before they did, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They agreed. They didn't like try to fight it.
Yeah, I'm like, they're both divorced at the time too. I was like, both your stories aren't adding up.
Ah.
You know, I cross-checked them, started asking them questions.
See,
I was a little bit of a detective. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's like, all right, so let me get this straight.
Yeah.
You say you were where last night from 10 to 2?
Exactly.
I played Santa in my family probably for 30 years.
Really?
Yeah, 25, 30 years. And when the youngest nephews and
Yeah.
nieces, they were maybe 8, 8 or 9. It's like, oh, it's Uncle Norm. He always gets a call. He has to leave, and then Santa comes, and then Santa leaves, and then Uncle Norm comes back. And I got wind of this, so I called a friend of mine who lived in the same neighborhood.
No.
He was always at my in-laws' house. And I said, come over and play Santa. I'll text. Well, we didn't text back then. I had to send a raven. It was a long time ago. But so I called him, and he came over, and I got my emergency call. I left. And then Santa came down, and a couple minutes later, I came down, and I watched these little 8-year-old brains just break. They were like, "It's not Uncle Norm." Oh my God! So now they wish they hadn't dicked around with the guy.
Now
Yeah.
they're wondering, who in the hell is this stranger in our house right now? We knew it was Norm.
really is Santa. I'm like, yeah, no, I wrecked your
I had
whole
to
life.
be I had to be told that Santa wasn't real. I think I would have gone way too long if they didn't tell me.
Really?
I was a very trusting kid. Like
That's
I
awesome.
probably still believe in Santa. Like if they didn't tell me, which I'm
Yeah.
thankful for my parents. I was probly like
That's funny.
11, maybe.
You're
I was
15.
way too old.
Yeah,
Like to be,
15, asking Santa for a Hummer.
I got my learner's permit.
Yeah, you can't have your learner's permit and think
Yeah.
Santa's real.
I didn't say anything. I didn't say squat. No, I was like, I'm not rocking this boat, dude. Santa brings a crap load of presents. Why on earth would I question his existence in any way, shape, or form? I knew
Yeah.
it was my mom. I'm not rocking the boat. Yes, Mom. Santa came. Yes, he did.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me the booty.
Exactly.
My Santa, he didn't bring me nothing special. It's just new Wranglers and a pocket knife almost every other year.
That's kind of special.
I mean, that was cool, but like I should have just and then it was like stuff like my dad wanted, be like a Milwaukee tool set, and I was like, I'm 8 though, like what am I gonna do with this?
It's like, no, but you'll
Yeah.
like this wrench.
Yeah,
It's a good
exactly.
wrench.
Just get out there and start building stuff.
Wranglers and a pocket knife.
Yes.
Man, dream big. That's all I can
That's
tell you, Austin.
right. I'm still rocking the Wranglers, so
You
there's
just
something
go
to it.
up
yeah.
from there, really?
Yeah.
Was it a nice night? Do you still have the pocket knife?
That's why they get me them every year. I'd lose them.
Every year you get one?
I'd lose them.
They just
every
stick to the
year.
pocket knife?
Yeah.
God.
He always
Lose
kept them
everything.
in his victims and shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where do you lose them exactly?
Down in the basement in the flesh of my.
Yeah. Jesus.
Sorry, I'm too dark.
No, yeah, that was went from Wranglers to Dexter. Thank you
Yeah,
for that.
Sorry about that.
That's all good.
So yeah, so one of y'all, I guess this will be fun.
All right.
Okay.
So
I love fun
Do you
stuff.
remember when you were in like Austin's and mine? Like I'm 2 years in, and he's what you're
6 or 7.
6 or 7 months
yeah.
in,
6 or 7 months.
just
Yeah.
hitting mics, and we started in Sarasota. You
Yeah.
know?
Is that bad?
I don't know. I
You're
feel
in
like
an
it's
A-room.
not the same here. You know,
You're
it's
starting
hard,
in an A room.
It's hard to get up 3 times in a week.
Oh, for sure.
You know.
I started, dude. When I started, and I'm sure Norm's the same with Norm. It is a completely different environment. Okay?
Is it?
Yeah, because there was no internet. There was no way to find out about open mic. You had to literally get a paper and look in the paper and see what events are happening, or
Yeah.
go to the bars and see that things are happening. So I started in East Lyme, Connecticut, and I went to a restaurant that was running a comedy night and basically BS'd my way into becoming the house MC. So I
Wow.
didn't start doing open mics. Where I was in New England, you had to go to New Haven or Hartford or
Right.
New York or Boston to do an open, like a
Right.
real open mic.
A real open mic,
Yeah,
yeah.
they had like they had poetry open mic, that kind of
Right,
crap.
right.
But
Yeah.
there were no real comedy. There wasn't a real comedy scene in East Lyme, Connecticut.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean? We had one comedy club, and it was a banquet room, 250, 300 seater, just like this.
Wow.
And they had really good food, and they packed it out, and that's where I cut my teeth. 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday for booze and food for 2 years, and that's how I learned how to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
No classes, by the way, none.
No classes. I never took a class.
No.
I know.
Yeah.
I've always been an idiot. So I didn't know you could make money. I was doing music, and
Oh wow.
we weren't good musicians, so we were doing 90 songs a night to get through.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was a million songs.
And
And so in
each
between,
song was 30 seconds.
yeah, no, they were the regular.
Just
each
the
song back
chorus.
then was like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
They didn't have, except for Miss. I can't remember the name, but Thanksgiving Day, you and Mrs. Yeah, when it was one Thanksgiving Day back in, you don't
What is
even
that
know.
one? That's
Some
Yeah,
Johnny
yeah.
Orton Battle of New Orleans.
No,
No,
no, it's
not
terrible.
that long
That's
ago,
one of the
was
things
it?
about getting old. But,
None of the references work.
none of the references
Believe
were-
me, I've been
well,
there.
Alice's Restaurant is the name
Oh,
of the
there you
song.
go.
That was like
Oh.
a 14-minute
Arlo
song.
Guthrie.
Arlo Guthrie.
14 minute song.
It was
Yeah.
crazy. But
Yeah.
anyhow, most of them were short, and I would start to tell little stories about crap that happened during the day just to fill some time.
Oh,
and
wow.
then somebody said you should go to the Comedy Castle. So I called, and they said, do you want a slot? I didn't know what a slot was. I said, sure.
Yeah, it was long.
And she goes, well, you go up, call me Monday. I called, and she goes, you go up tonight at 10:50, I think it was, almost 11 o'clock in Detroit.
Holy crap.
And
wow.
went in the back, and there were real live comedians back there, people that became very famous.
Wow.
But I went back, and that's how it started. And I did my little 10 minutes for about 6 months, and then Mark Ridley hired me.
Mark Ridley, yeah, I was about to say it's Mark Ridley's
Yeah, it was
place.
Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle in Detroit, and at the time it was East Coast, it was New York, L.A., and Detroit.
Wow.
And everybody you know in comedy went through
That's
the Detroit club. Everybody.
Yeah, I bet.
So 6 months in, I featured.
Oh,
I
wow.
never did.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Way to flex on
It
me.
was just going up and doing 20 minutes.
Wow.
You know.
So you
That's
built
crazy.
you built 20 minutes in like 6 months? Like,
Yeah.
Holy
Wow.
shit, that's amazing.
Well,
I mean, I look at that. It took me forever to get to like 20.
Yeah.
well, I'm a storyteller, so
Okay.
I don't tell. I
Yeah.
don't tell jokes. I don't have to do setups, punchlines. I don't
Yeah.
have to figure
I'm
all
the
that
same way.
stuff out. I just chat.
Right,
I
right,
just,
right.
I just talk. So I would just tell stories, and then most of my stuff is based in truth, and then of course embellished and
Right, of course.
and proper.
A bit of hyperbole and stuff.
And it was $25 a set, so I was making $50 a week.
nice.
At
Nice.
$200 a week, that was actually my grocery bill for my wife and 3
That's
kids
awesome.
and I for $200. So that was back in the '80s when things were just flying.
And that was
then
just
if you
in
had 20
Detroit?
minutes, you could work all the time.
all the time.
Shows were Tuesday through Sunday, Tuesday through Saturday.
Yeah. Right, right.
You know, this is one of the few clubs that's Wednesday through Sunday still. in the
Yeah,
country.
that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's not very many.
Just mostly just weekend clubs, right? Weekend.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
Maybe a Thursday,
maybe a Thursday.
but definitely not Wednesday and Thursday. That's almost unheard
I've got
of.
some old VHS tapes. The football coach, neighbor,
Yeah.
had a video camera. He was the only one I knew that had a video camera back in the day.
Back in the
And
day.
it's that's just the way it was. So he would come to a show, and on the way home he would coach me. He'd go, "You didn't do this gesture. You didn't
Oh,
say
wow.
this word." And he was like,
He'd do film with you. That's
"Yeah,
pretty cool.
he would do the films just like he was
Yeah.
going over a game. Like
Yeah.
you did this wrong or that
Wow.
wrong or that worked." And so I videotaped a bunch of shows.
You still
and
have
then
them.
tried a whole bunch of crap. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I haven't put them on disc yet, so they're deteriorating quicker than my hairline. So they're going bad.
I wouldn't be able to watch those. Not yours, but I mean mine. If I had old tapes, I couldn't. Because I remember what my set used to be like when I first started, and it was all, the typical stuff. It was funny. We were doing a show in Miramar Beach last night, and the host went up, and he's been in 6, 7, 8 months. And I was amazed at the content of his material. It was the same as all the beginning guys.
Right.
They're all jokes they're all sexual in nature for the most part.
Right.
And they all involve either masturbation or some juvenile sexual thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's always, it's really weird how it's just, I guess they call it low-hanging fruit, but I don't know. You would think that the thing that you're not most comfortable talking about is not the thing that you would start with, but it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You take like the thing that's most awkward for people to talk about, and that's where you start your comedy life, I think. I did it for maybe a month, and I was like, all right, I'm done talking about that. Now I talk about other things, but yeah, it was just weird because I could hear my own material.
Les.
Oh, Les is here.
Les is
There
here.
you
yeah.
go, it's here.
And not every comic does that, but I think a lot of the young guys, when they start, that's where they start. They start in that sexual place.
The sexual place.
Yeah, it just seems to be.
Just talk about
not everybody, but
Just
a
talk
lot
about
of them.
just talk about your dick for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
For like 3 months.
Yeah,
straight.
or beating up your dick.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's always one
I'm
of the two.
still at that
Using it or
point,
beating
so-
it up.
beating it up.
Abusing it or using it.
Yeah.
When you get to my age, you talk about remembering.
Yeah, right. You're talking about finding it. You got to find it.
You go through the because I tell stories, I would talk about my children, and now it's my grandchildren.
Right.
The
Yeah.
kids are in it still, but it becomes grandchildren oriented. It's whatever my life is at the time.
Right. It's
Play
the
about
real
golf.
you. It's the real you. Yeah.
It's the embellished me.
And the bells.
Yeah, I like to embellish too.
Man, when I first met Les Mccurdy, we were kids. We were
Les
young.
was a kid?
Yeah, he was a young one.
Yeah.
That was at the Holiday Inn out at the harbor.
Now that I'm seeing you guys could almost be brothers. You do kind of look alike.
What's that?
Well, we
Your
look
face,
alike.
you guys- Yeah, you guys kind of look alike.
You know,
Weathered, beaten. Is that
we
what
found
you mean,
out
Chris?
we found out our families slept with some of the same people for a period of time. We don't know how that rolled down.
Yeah, I'm afraid to get that 23andMe thing done. I'm like,
yeah.
I don't want to know.
Yeah. Isn't people finding out that their dads aren't really their dads
there's
and
lots
of
shit like that?
And they finally dad had an extra brother in Cleveland or something.
Yeah.
You know that? Yeah.
It goes right back to the
they-
Santa Claus thing. You don't rock the boat. Just
That's
don't rock
right.
the boat. I
Don't
don't
rock
need to know.
the boat. Yeah.
No, I think I'm
Ignorance
fine.
is bliss.
And I like you guys just fine. We don't need to bring anybody else into the mix.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Did you have to go home and paint the house or something?
How's it going?
Les?
This is Austin.
What?
Did you have to go home and paint the house or something? Why?
Why was I running late?
Yeah. Why are you tardy?
Yeah, I cleaned house.
Did you?
I cleaned house because that and I'm preaching to the choir, Norm, when I say this. You know, because he's been with the same woman for a really long
Yep,
time too.
yep.
Is cleaning house one of the greatest aphrodisiacs in the whole world? I mean, everybody thinks it's money and jewelry, and no, clean the fucking house and fold the towels.
Yeah.
It's the quickest blowjob in the world.
You'll have great sex.
Absolutely.
Of course, you do have to fold while you're getting the blowjob. You
See,
must
now-
continue
Yeah,
folding.
you
it.
can't stop cleaning.
Yeah.
Now, can you buy Pam a gift?
What?
Can you buy Pam a gift?
Yes.
I can't buy Sharon anything.
Oh, she's
She
one of
already
those?
has it, or she
Right.
just decides. You know, it's our kids get pissed because they're like, "What do you want for?" We were talking about Christmas early. Like, what do you want for Christmas? Like, and they get mad because if I want
Well,
something, I just get it. And
Here's
then
the thing: is I can buy Pam a gift, but many times it's really for me.
okay, yeah,
You know what I mean? I don't like her underwear, so I just throw it all away. and I go, look, those underwear are good enough for Jessica Simpson. They're good enough for you. Fuck it. Come on, get the J.C. Penney shit out of here.
I like how he
You're
throws
too
it
pretty.
out. He throws it out so she has no options at that point.
That's
She
right.
has to use what he got her. I don't know what happened to those, but I got these. If you're interested.
I don't know. Where's all my underwear?
Now, do you do domestic shit, Austin? Do you do stuff at home? Do you do stuff?
No,
do your own
I'm just-
laundry, or you do?
Nah, I mean, I
Are you
do.
living at home?
I am. I have my own apartment. I just have a big pile of laundry that I have not touched since I moved in there.
He throws it all out and buys new stuff.
Yeah.
No, I'm not balling like that. But one day I'll be there. Once I'm headlining here,
Just
I can
disposable
do
clothes.
that.
That's what you're shooting for.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just
Better
pulled-
save up.
You don't know the budget yet, do you?
Not paying like he used to. Right, Norm? Okay, come on.
Might be able to
A little bit.
get a pack of socks, maybe.
Oh,
I still shop at Walmart, so I think I'll be all right.
fuck, I still shop
I
at
stop
Walmart.
Yeah.
I know.
That's where I got
Yeah.
these. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Those the Wranglers that
That's
were
right,
so near
Wranglers,
and dear
the-
to your heart.
the very famous Wranglers.
I
that
never
mentioned before.
paid more than $25, $30 for a pair of jeans
No.
in my life for years. Until I was out in Laguna Beach.
I was gonna say Miami Beach.
I was in Laguna Beach. My brother-in-law lives out in close to there, and so we went over to the beach. Me and Pam. I'm just walking down a little thing there, and it looked like a secondhand shop.
Right.
It really, literally looked like a secondhand store, which is out of place.
Like a bazaar.
on Laguna
Yeah.
Beach,
Like a
You
beach
know what
bazaar.
I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
So I walked inside, and a lady just walks into the middle of the room. She goes, "Welcome to the store of wearable art." I go, "Okay, that's what I figured." That's what you call secondhand shit on Laguna Beach. Wearable art.
Boutique.
So I go, "Well, I can't afford this shit. I'm pretty sure what you." She goes, "Nope, you can, and you're gonna walk out of here with something you want, guaranteed."
and she sold you something.
Yep. I said, "What?" She goes, "What do you want?" And I said, "Bell-bottom jeans, like I used to wear in the '70s." See, growing up, all our jeans, when we were, from the time we were, me and Norm,
Teens.
time we were teens, all the way up till almost mid-20s, late 20s, all our pants were flare-bottom and
Right.
bell-bottom.
We
And-
lived that '70s show.
That's right. I said,
Yeah,
I want
right.
a pair of those old bell-bottom jeans. And she goes, "I got them, bro. I got them." And so, "What's your size?" Blah, blah, blah. So she brought me 2 or 3 pair. And and I was like, and I expected she was going to go,
$200 a
yeah,
piece.
something like that. And it ended up being 80. And I was like, you know what? I can't buy these motherfuckers anywhere. I'm gonna take them. And I loved them. I've got those jeans to this day. I have patched those motherfuckers so many times. I do. I patch them. I love it. And then I go, man, these are really comfortable and da. So then after that, I bought a couple of pairs that were $125 or something like that.
Yeah,
and these that I have on right here are $125.
Really?
But the thing I found about them is,
Does it make your ass look good? Let me see.
fuck yeah, they make my ass look good.
When
And
you
let me
fold
tell you how I
those-
know that. Let me tell you how I know that. I have never, ever gotten a compliment from a woman wearing a pair of cheap jeans. Never said, hey, man, nice
Those are
jeans.
nice.
Those are nice. These gotten many compliments.
Really?
And I was like, well, I paid a lot of money for them. Thanks a lot. And they go, it looks like you paid money for them. So I was like, and I think they might work for this company. Now that I think about it, they may just send like pretty women out
And
in
go
the
and
pub.
say- and
Yeah,
look
just
for
to
the
go.
patch.
If you see a pair of my jeans,
You gotta.
take a picture of it. Say it looks good on them, and we'll give you $100.
So they were plants.
It's fucking brilliant.
They were plants in the
Absolutely.
audience.
Like those
Now
Captain
that I
Morgan
think
webs.
about it.
Yeah.
She walks up, she goes, the woman looks at you, total stranger. Is that wearable art? How did you know that? What did you say to me?
Yeah. Who do you work for?
Place ain't even there anymore.
Sharon buys clothes. Sharon buys everything.
Yeah.
Cars. You know, just let her, because she dickers around.
Yeah.
I bought furniture one time. Our first house was I would call it early Salvation Army was our decor. You know, you'd sit in a chair
Yeah.
like Austin's in, and the springs. My feet didn't touch the ground. I would sit down and I would just be sink
the
down into it.
like the
Yeah, and the
examination
springs
room.
would be in
Yeah.
your ass.
We got very few. All of our life, we have rarely bought anything new. That car, furniture, anything like that, we generally have bought secondhand. Nice, you know. But
yeah.
I mean, but we just, I don't know. It's,
This was years ago. I said, I sat down. I said, I'm going shopping. You want to come? She goes, what are you buying? I said, furniture. She goes, oh Jesus. Grabbed our young son. Maybe Norman was like a year and a half at the time. We walked into a furniture store. A lady walked up. I said, do you work here? She goes, yeah. I go, it's your lucky day. Do you have any furniture? She goes, yeah. I go, I want some. Walked around. I found a set that I wanted. I want this couch. I want those two chairs. I want the lamp. I want the scones. I want this. I want that. She goes, you want to know how much it costs? I said, no. She said, okay. Put it together. We left. We walked out the door. Sharon goes, you are an asshole. I go, well, you're just figuring that out? She goes, no, I've known him for years. I just didn't know you shop like shit. She goes, I would have got at least one of the chairs free. Both of the end tables they'd have thrown in, and I got the lamps too. So that's the last shit I bought, and that was years and years ago.
well, you know, on the furniture thing. My grandmother was in a nursing home, and by this time, and she was at the point of her life mentally where she was kind of in and out of the here and now, and then some. You could have a conversation with her, and she'd be talking about shit that'd be going on today, but then she could flow right into a story that happened 50 years ago, as if it happened
now, yeah.
right now or yesterday, you know. So she was kind of at that point,
Yeah.
and so she, I went up to tell her that I was going to get married, and as soon as I did, as soon as I told her I said I'm going to get married, she said, okay, I got a piece. I want to tell you something, and it's very important. And I'm thinking, okay, here's the wise old sage. Only with one man, loved him as long as he was alive, da-da-da-da-da. Never was out of love with him, even after he had been dead for 20 years. She thought about him every day. You know what I mean? She goes, never buy cheap furniture. It'll stick with you your whole life. You buy that cheap couch and it'll just be sitting over there. Fucking cheap old couch. She didn't say fucking, but she had that attitude. So I came home and told Pam that. And you know what? After we got married and started beginning to buy furniture, so that when we moved into a house, we would have something. We bought antiques. We bought almost exclusively antiques as much as we could because we went, you go to a furniture store, you buy something. As soon as you walk out of the store, it's lost half its value.
Yeah, it's like a car.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
you buy an antique, it at least holds its value,
If not increase.
if not
Yeah.
increases in value. And that was always so much fun for us. You know, I ended up my next door when we bought our first house, our only house that we've ever owned and lived in. My neighbor just on the other side of the fence, guy Graham from London, and come find out he's an antique dealer here in town. And I was like, cool. That's what we're doing. You got any advice for me when you're buying antiques? He goes, undulation. He goes, figure that if anything was made at least 100 years ago, turn of the century or before, you didn't have machine planes to plane out the wood perfectly flat. You had to hand hewn everything. He goes, there's no way to hand hewn something, so it's always going to have a little ripple to it.
Okay.
And that's what you look for. He goes, that's what I look for to know that it. He goes, even glass, the old lead glass that was made back then. He said, if you run your hand on it, it won't be
Glass
perfect.
smooth.
It'll have imperfections in it, and he goes, that shows you that it is the age that they say it is.
It's handmade.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Undulation. Oh, man! I hope these Rays have been this whole frickin' series with all the teams has been so crazy this year.
Like upset wise, or just like
Yes.
close? Oh wow.
Well, I mean, here we are going into
Nobody
game
really
5
walked away with anything. Well,
going into this, Houston and LA were your teams that had won over 100 games,
Houston.
right?
Dodgers.
LA had one of the best winning seasons of anybody in a long time. They got eliminated last night
Holy shit.
at home. At home,
Atlanta got embarrassed.
Atlanta
Yeah.
got embarrassed
Yeah.
at home.
Right. What was the final score of that?
13-2. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that game was over in 10 minutes.
Right.
You
in
know,
Detroit, we call that a regular Tiger.
you call that a Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, that's
in
just a
Detroit.
day at work for the boys. And their manager will come on. We're going to try to do some
and
things
here's
better
the
tomorrow.
Rays got their ass handed to them in the first 2 games, then came back
Yeah.
and did the same thing, and now here they are in Houston with their back up against the wall. And I feel like there's got to be a little something in your head when you know that the 2 teams that should have won last night, LA and Atlanta, both at home, both lost. You know what I mean? And here you are at home in Game 5, but it's pretty cool. You're pretty
Les,
cool.
Justin.
Yes,
Les Mccurdy,
Justin.
time clock is not working.
Oh
So how do you
no.
want to swing this? The website's down.
Oh really?
Just light them.
I could just
Okay.
flash, like,
All right. Yeah. Because we're doing the interview at the end,
I'm gonna leave, so I have to leave. Yeah, I
oh,
have to
you're
go.
leaving.
Yeah, I
You're
have to go,
leaving.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Just
You know-
what time you want me to finish, and I'll just be done. I don't need a timer.
I mean, I got a flashlight.
No, this
Usually it's about
I can do a
8:40
couple
is when-
checks.
7. If you're finished anywhere between 8:30 and 8:40,
Okay.
anywhere in there is fine.
Yeah,
you
I'd
want.
say so.
So, give me a light at 15. That'll be a 5-minute light ish. Give Chris a light at 20, and give Norm a light at 40.
That's fine.
Sound good?
15,
Yeah.
20, 40.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Awesome.
15, 20, 40, folks. That's what we're dealing with,
Yes.
Austin.
And when you get the light, you can do 5 to 10.
Copy that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whatever. Okay. Well, that's weird. Our website's down. So
No,
when we
it's
do
the-
the interview at the end, it'll just be me and you. I used to just do it with the headliner, but a few weeks ago we decided to invite.
Open it up to the crew and see.
It was
what
Chris-
Oh, it was you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Carl.
You were
Yeah.
the first one.
Carl and Reed. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
good. That was a good interview, actually.
Yeah, it
Had
was.
fun.
It was
It
fun.
was very
having both
funny.
acts up.
Yeah.
Now, does the audience stay or they go?
They
stay.
say. Remember, I set it up in the front end that it's going to happen, and I made the mistake at the first one. I don't think you were at the first one.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of saying, as soon as the headliner ends, I'm going to come up It'll be about 5 minutes. I'll do announcements. Then we'll bring the headliner back. We lost half the crowd.
Oh, okay.
So now I just say it's part of the show. So in other words, I go, part of the show tonight is as soon as the headliner
An
finishes,
introspective kind of
and
thing.
I come on stage, we're going to sit down, do a quick interview, and let you guys do some Q&A.
Okay.
You know, it lasts 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, I drove back from Miramar Beach last night. I've had like 2 hours of sleep, so I'm exhausted. So I would stay, but I'm ready to go.
Okay, all right.
I'm
Well,
wiped.
you've already done it.
That,
so,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be fun.
But anyway, this is exciting. You know.
Oh yeah, this
You
is
know,
in
it's
Houston,
as you
right?
travel around the
Yeah.
country, these things, what they do for a state, when you see your team in the NHL finals or in the baseball finals, you see those people up. Well, I was in Miami when Miami won the national basketball championship, or whatever, and I was in a building with 1,500 fans going ape shit. It was a riot, but the whole state raises up.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's
There's
not
no
just the
doubt about
city.
it.
It's
No doubt about
seen
it.
it happen in
I
Boston.
happened to be one of the neat ones. I was out in L.A. doing a private event with my buddy Ken at Manhattan Beach. And it was the final game of the hockey when L.A. was in it. And I was watching the news that night, and it was the last game.
Yeah.
It had gone to last, and they were talking about a lot of the players lived in Manhattan Beach, and they showed this bar where they hang out. It was 3 blocks from our hotel, so we finished the gig, walked down there.
And hung out.
It's a madhouse, but we walked up and we thought, oh, we'll never get in this motherfucker. So there was a guy that said, any way to get in? He goes, if you're eating, I can give you a table. But if you're just going to drink and hang out, no. And we're like, fuck yeah, we're eating. And we sat there and they won. And it was like, well, this is a crazy,
Yeah.
you
Right.
know, kind of a thing.
Have you ever been in a city where they lose? That's a lot of fun.
Oh, well, yes. Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
I live-
Norm is
I
from
live that
Detroit,
way.
so
yeah. Well, no, when it's at the finals, like I was
Oh,
in,
yeah.
I was in Tuscaloosa for a national championship, and last year they lost to Clemson, and it was just there was just a deadness in the air. Like
Oh, yeah.
nobody was like would look you in the eyes
Oh.
or nothing.
Well, you can
Everybody's just-
imagine what
Oh, yeah.
Atlanta was like, what
Oh,
LA
that
was
was
like,
just
shocking.
what
Yeah.
Houston will be
Oh.
like if we win this.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know, funny thing, one thing it's good that Pam's not here because she'd make you take the hat off.
Is she a state?
She's Florida State.
Ah.
But here's the deal: it's so
That
funny.
Gator show would go.
Well, you know, just the other when Florida was playing Auburn,
Right.
a great game. I turn it on, and she's like, and we always say, I go, she's like, how can you root for Florida? I go, 'cause they're in Florida. I go, look, if
Oh.
they're playing Florida State,
Right,
okay.
right.
But otherwise, I want Florida teams to win. It's
Right.
good for our state.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Plus, I always tell her this. I always go, Florida State's going to play Florida last game every year.
Yeah.
You want Florida to be undefeated
Yeah.
when you play them. You
Yeah.
want them to be the best they can, because then if you win,
You're right.
it's better.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You don't want them to have
Feels-
lost 5
Yeah.
games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it feels way better to dethrone the king.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course it does.
Yeah,
you
than just
know?
like stomp on a dead
I know,
horse or
but
something.
she so far has not gone with that.
No.
Well, she's a Florida State, and
I know.
kudos to her for not having that logic.
But
She
at
can't
least,
knuckle
at
her.
least she
Yeah.
watches the
Yeah.
game. At least she's aware of the game. Sharon, my beautiful wife Sharon, she won't watch anything with a referee or an umpire.
So what?
An umpire or a referee.
No
She doesn't-
rules.
Yeah, so if it's football, basketball, hockey, she likes once in a while. And I don't like to watch anything
Does
with
she
judges.
like any sport?
No.
Oh,
well,
okay.
I was going to say UFC.
she's not
they
a
have
sports-
they don't
Did
have
you?
a
You're a big guy. Did you play sports? I'm sure you
I
get that
played
ass.
a lot. Oh, every day.
I know. When
I
you're
played
big,
in,
it's like
I
you
played in
used to
high
say.
school, and then just a year in college. I redshirted though.
Yeah.
School wasn't for me, so.
Yeah.
And then I tried out for arena football, and then I still wanted to go to college. So, and I would have been considered professional if I played. So I just kicked that dream. So, still thought I was going to go back to school, but
I took 8 years to get through school.
Attaboy.
8 years.
Attaboy.
Yeah.
Was it free?
No.
No.
But when I started that first year and I got no reason to be here. I don't have focus.
Right.
I'm just gonna do it to do it. All right.
All
Grab a golf
let's head to
club.
the stage. This is where I always have to disconnect with the comics. I don't watch any sports at all. When they start talking about
neither.
baseball stuff, I'm like, all right, I gotta go
Well,
get a
yeah,
girl.
I don't
The
know.
majority of comics are not into sports at all.
I
It's,
know.
They are,
it's
actually.
such a
Yeah, they
I
are.
couldn't
Oh,
tell
really?
you.
I find most of them are. Yeah.
I couldn't
Really?
tell you the teams that are in it
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
I watch World Cup
The,
soccer.
the weird thing is, I
ya?
appreciate the
just
sport.
the less mainstream thing.
Well, less mainstream in this country.
Right, exactly. It's the
The
world
rest of the
thing.
world is a huge
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't do it.
Yeah.
I appreciate like the sport itself, but I can't follow the politics. Like I can't follow who got traded, who, like
Oh,
which
shit, I
teams
don't
on
know.
top.
I know.
But people are
it's
like,
too
do you do
much.
fantasy football? I
So-
said, I don't know the guys on
Oh,
real football.
I
How am I
did
going to
that.
pick a
I
guy,
hate fantasy
a
football.
I
tight
did
end
that
from
for
New England or
one
something?
year, and it was. I've never been through so much drama. Felt like
Yeah.
I was in middle school again. It's
Nice
like-
house.
Nice big crowd.
Mccurdy's
Nice
too.
crowd, huh?
Oh yeah.
Good.
On a Thursday.
On a Thursday.
On a
Always good
Thursday.
here, man.
Yeah,
Always.
this
It
is a
is.
great club. This
Yeah.
the community around here. They always show up. And
They
they're
do.
Great audience always.
They do. See, this is the bowling alley or the movie or the movie theater.
That's why I come open for Norm. Like, is it
Very
Mccurdy's?
kind.
Oh, okay. We'll come to Mccurdy's.
Well, when if you're lucky enough to get a week with Les,
Yeah,
this place is great.
take it.
I was one of the first acts they went with when they left, when they broke out on their own out there
Yeah.
at the harbor.
Oh yeah.
When it became Mccurdy's Comedy Club,
Yeah.
they called me out of Detroit, and I go, yeah, I moved a date so I could be down to cover a hole that they had. And
Did you
we've
meet
been
Les on the
friends
road?
ever since.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Did Mark Ridley recommend you? guessing?
I'm, probably.
Probably.
Yeah, but I don't. I had.
I always wonder how that works.
I don't know where I worked with Les. If it was a Coconuts back in the day when
Oh yeah.
that we did something.
Was that in St. Pete?
He owned
Well, I did
several
St.
rooms,
Pete.
right?
I like
the-
St.
the
Pete.
Coconut St.
Yeah,
Pete?
Yeah,
Oh,
same
yeah.
guy, Shoemaker.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's had multiple rooms, right? Like
Yeah,
many,
yeah.
many
Yeah,
different
I used to
rooms.
do Grand Cayman.
Right.
Grand Cayman Island was blast. It was 2 weeks. Yeah, he's down to St. Pete.
Oh, the coconut.
That's it, right? Is it just because he's?
But there was probably he had Miami. He probably had 8 or 10, maybe
Yeah, it
around.
was
Wow.
a big club back in the day. Yeah.
In mine,
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
there was in New York there was Caroline's has been around for a long time,
Right.
and Dangerfield.
Yeah.
Rodney's club was around for a
Yeah.
long
Is
time.
that one's still around, isn't it?
Yeah,
Dangerfield,
Yeah.
I think so.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I haven't worked in a long time. And then out west there was, the Improvs.
Right.
Bud came to one of my shows when I did my evening at the Improv. They shoot 2 shows in one night.
Really?
Okay? Yeah. So they shoot both of them, and I'm the first comic on the second show. So my makeup call is like 7 p.m.
Right.
The crowd gets there at 5 and starts drinking for free. And it's a couple hundred people. And they had a power outage. I showed there, and they haven't started the first set yet.
Oh wow.
Now the people they're pretty lit.
Oh.
Okay, they're a couple hours in.
Yeah.
And the second show is always a little more complicated because you've got drunk people. So then they finally get the first show shot. It was their 100th show, so they had a party with a cake and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm waiting. Now people are leaving. Okay, it's 10:30 at night. People are leaving. I go out to a house. They've got 6 people sitting around Bud Selig's table.
Wow.
Because they always do a Bud shot where he smiles and laughs, and there's people around him.
Right.
And there's maybe 20 other people that they put in the front 2 rows,
Yeah, yeah.
and the rest of the house is dead, absolutely dark. And
Oh my god.
so Bud goes. He's got his little monocle, and he goes, "Norm, it's the worst fucking audience we've ever had. Good luck." Puts his eyepiece in, and he goes out, and they did the show. Oh,
Wow.
I hated it. But you know what I learned from that, Austin? I learned that when you film something,
Yeah.
you pretend you're having a blast.
Yeah.
Because they'll sweeten the shit out of it.
Right,
You
right,
know,
right.
they won't know. But I just when it aired, I got up and left the room. I couldn't even watch it.
Wow.
Because I knew it sucked.
Right,
and
right.
everybody's like, that wasn't as bad as you thought, because they
Sure,
put
yeah.
laughter in. But you could tell I was not. And the people that were there were drunk and hanging on each other and just trying to get laid. It was terrible. But Norm, it's the worst fucking audience we've ever had. We've had a lot.
Never forget that. Yeah, that's funny.
And these people don't know that this is a big night for me.
Yeah.
It's a huge night. I did Bob Saget's CBS morning comedy thing that they did back in the late 80s. And I go out there and they shoot it at 11 o'clock in the morning. They bring people in off the street like they do in Vegas just to fill the house.
Right.
And it's the first time I ever did television. I walk out and there's 20 monitors and all of a sudden there's a close-up of your face. You know, you're trying to just work and out of the periphery you just see your...
Oh my God, yeah.
You see, you know, and it's odd if you've not done it. So I go, I'm working away, you know, and then in the stand in the back is this union guy, and I think we did 6 minutes or 8 minutes, but he's got a giant 4 on a piece of cardboard, and he just swings it across like this. And my brain's going, I got 4 minutes left. And I'm thinking, this is just another Tuesday morning for Skippy back there.
Yeah.
This is the biggest moment of my life.
Yeah, exactly.
In my career. I'm like, this could be huge.
Make or break you, yeah.
Because back then, Les and I talked about it today, you had to do the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
And it was out of 10,000 people,
Yeah.
20 a year is a really bad odd.
Yeah.
That you're gonna make that. So if you could get CBS or do Evening at the Improv,
Any of those,
or, doing an A&E, but I'll never forget this guy, just this giant 4, and then worst fucking audience we've ever had. Like classic Norm. You know, you go, Chris, you've done this. You've traveled enough. You go into a place and last week we were sold out, but this week they got that Tater Festival downtown, and they're giving away French fries, blowjobs, and bags of $20 bills. So we're gonna be a little light. And so I'm like, of course they are. Of course they are. The only time they give away blowjobs is when I'll come into a town.
Yeah, I always get the. Let me turn this around. I always get the last week was what an amazing show. They say that like they could not be topped. I don't know who you are, how good you are, but couldn't possibly top last week.
Oh wow.
Exactly.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, or following Louis C.K.
Holy shit.
Louis followed me into Chicago. He did 3 nights. Of course, he was sold out in 20 minutes, just like he was here.
Yeah, no shit, right?
And
That was crazy when he was here.
did you get to?
I got to watch
the
I
show.
got to see him.
I got to watch all 6.
Oh yeah, you worked
all
that
8 of his
whole
shows.
time,
Oh, did
right?
you?
Yeah, I worked security for one of them on purpose, just so I could watch the show a little bit. And I was standing by the green room door,
Yeah,
just watching him.
he
Yeah.
probably did.
Yeah.
He brought his own host and 2 features.
Yeah,
Right.
I would bring my own team if I was him.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah,
Who
yeah.
was it? It was Mike Vecchione.
Mike
was one.
Vecchione and Lynn Coplitz.
Yes,
and,
that's who it was. And then I couldn't remember the host.
Mike Early was the host, and they were all fucking good.
All of them were so good.
Well, they're all
like,
headliners.
Oh yeah,
For sure, yeah.
All of them. You
Yeah.
almost forgot when
Different levels of headliner too. It
Right.
was really interesting.
I honestly almost forgot that I was at a Louis show when I was
Yeah.
watching Vecchione because he was just so on fire, just every
Yeah,
second. It was
Vecchione was great.
He was just killing it. Like, but then then they're like, "Are you ready for your headliner?" I was like, "Oh yeah, Louis here."
Oh yeah, I forgot about the mop
I've
up
never
that
seen
thing.
him work. I think he has
Real
every
good.
right to work. People,
Right.
that was a big deal.
Yeah.
And I mean, back in my day, I keep saying that like an old fuck. I am. But when Andrew Dice Clay broke, and he
Right.
was doing arenas and stuff, people were asking me like, how can you support this pig? And I go, wait a minute. I said, you understand that's an act.
Yeah.
You understand that Bozo's not a real clown. Okay, he puts
Right.
on makeup. And
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Andrew's. That's the Dice Man's caricature.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's a character.
That's what he does.
What his real name? Isn't it like
I don't remember.
Limmerman or something?
Libowitz or something, yeah.
Something,
Something.
something Jewish.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
What, yeah.
So I met him in
Yeah.
Vegas, late '80s, and he was a normal person. He'd sit around chatting like this, and he'd go on to his
Yeah.
he'd
And
play
Dice-
his
Doing a character.
And Dice was just when he first started, wasn't it just like a segment in his act? Like
Yeah,
he
it
would
was
dress
it was
up
a
as the
character.
Dice Man,
Character.
but he would do normal stand up and then he would do the Dice Man, right?
Yeah. And it's
Wow.
like when Dan became Larry the Cable.
Right,
Exactly.
Dan turned into.
That was a radio character, wasn't it?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
Called
but
it
he
into
didn't.
a few.
He couldn't do it, from what I understand, because the radio owned his character. They owned
Oh,
owned
that I didn't know.
Really?
Yeah, so finally, I think he got it back, and then he was able to actually do it on stage.
Oh wow.
Very interesting, yeah.
And there's probably about 1,000 of us that could have been Ron White.
Right.
I remember Ron White when he was a middle. You know.
Yeah.
And, I remember Ellen when she was a middle.
Yeah.
But you know, that's
Yeah.
I still have my family.
Right.
You know, it depends on what you want to do. I have friends that
Yeah.
make way more money,
Right.
and they're on ships all the time, or they're on, you know,
Right.
they're just touring all the time. And then, you know, I'll get a call from them at 3 o'clock in the morning going, I'm so fucking lonely, man. I can't do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I can't. Well, then you need to find somebody that'll travel with you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that does sound like a lonely life. Like some of those guys that
Gotta have like
just-
home base.
Guys are out
Yeah.
40 weeks a year, 50
Yeah,
weeks
exactly.
a year.
I used to be a over-the-road truck driver, so it seemed kind of similar to what I was
Yeah.
doing. So just being alone all the time.
I worked
Just
with
traveling the country.
Richard Jenny, who was probably the
Oh,
most
wow.
prolific writer that
Wow.
I've ever worked with. And I middled for him in Myrtle Beach. We had a beautiful week in Myrtle Beach. And he did not have a home. He had his, you know, his correspondence was sent to his mom's home. But he was just on the road.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
didn't even have his own. He didn't have an apartment. He didn't have a cabin. He didn't have anything.
Just lived
he just
out of
was
the
on the
car,
road.
basically.
He was super
He
lonely.
was just
right?
he would fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would fly from gig to gig, and they'd
Just
pick him
out of
up
a
and give him
suitcase.
lots of money, and
But eventually that wears on you. It's gotta, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
he killed himself, right?
there was and he even did that poorly. He shot himself in the head. Took him 3 days to die.
Oh,
Man,
God.
He fucking went around his brain, fucked him up enough to kill him, but not right away.
God.
Yeah,
that's awful. Yeah.
yeah.
Who was this?
Richard
Jenny.
Jenny.
That's what I thought you were gonna
Yeah, Jenny was.
He was a fantastic. Like,
He was fantastic.
he was so good.
Yeah, he was. And he taught me something too. I was supposed to do 30. I think I did 32 minutes. And driving home that night, the host was driving us around. He goes, "Hey, Norm, you went long. You went 2 minutes long." I go, "Yeah, and you did an hour and 8 minutes and killed." He goes, "No." He goes, "What I do has nothing to do with what you do. Do your fucking job. You're doing 30, do 30."
Right.
And he was like, "Oh, okay." It didn't affect him as
Right.
far as me watching his show. But the thing is, be professional.
Right.
If you're supposed to do 30, do 30.
Right.
You're supposed to do 15, do 15. And it's really hard when you get places like this where everything works because it's Mccurdy's.
Yeah.
You know, or the Comedy Castle where you've got 500 people, 400 people, or theaters,
And they're just
and
killing
you're supposed to get off. Yep. But that's one lesson. Do your time. If you work in a casino and they want you to do 20 and you do 25, you're not worth the 5 minutes that they're sitting there. They
Yeah.
should be out there spending
Right.
you know,
Right.
Should be
Right.
making a lot more money out
a
on
lot
that
more
floor,
dollars
yeah.
per minute than what you're doing.
Be good on that time. You have to be
Right.
good on that time. Yeah.
Yep. And I've seen people blow the light just because they're having a good time. Quit it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good point. It's a valuable lesson.
And I was reading a story on Bob Newhart, who's like 90 and still having fun. He was one of my heroes as a comic, and he was talking to Richard Lewis, and Richard said, "I'm so fucking sick of my act." He goes, I can't hardly do it anymore. I'm just sick of it." And Bob told him, he goes, "Richard, you got to remember, you're not here to entertain yourself. You're here to entertain them.
Right.
He goes, go do your shit, do it as best as you can, and do it every time as good as you can."
Yeah.
And that certainly makes sense.
Right.
You know, though people, especially if you walk out to a house and there's 20 people or 30 people, a lot of guys will let themselves phone it in. Don't. If you have to create your own energy, then keep creating it.
Give 110% every show.
Yeah.
Every show.
You try.
Every show like it's the last show. Every show like it's a packed house. Every show.
Right.
I'll do that to 2 people in an elevator.
Yeah.
I heard a story actually where, with you, it was funny. I did this gig with Johnny Hobbs, and for the listeners, he's a house MC, and we went to this place called Last Jalapeno.
Oh yeah, Senior Jalapeno.
Senior Jalapeno, is that what it is? Senior Jalapeno. It should have been called the Last Jalapeno. I went there and there was 2 people there, and I had a guest spot, and I did exactly what you guys just said. Like I didn't like fucking. I wasn't.
Belittle the audience for not showing up.
I
That's
just
stupid.
I just went in there and I performed for a black dude who sat by himself and watched, stared at me, and then like a couple that was sitting like, in the booth far across the thing, and I didn't make fun of them, but I did address it. You know, I addressed like, oh, it's just us guys. We did our thing. I watched Johnny Hobbs do 45 minutes up there with one person in front of him, and like just did it. And then I heard though that you literally sat down and ate dinner with with some of them and just went through your jokes. That's
I've
hilarious.
sat at a table before. I've done.
Yeah.
In my career, I've worked to 4 people twice,
Right.
and each time the first 2 acts were on stage, and I just brought up a chair and sat down and I introduced myself. You know, where are you from? And just talked a little bit, and then started working my material in, told them some stories, and 50 minutes later,
Wow.
I said, I've had a good time. They're like, man, that was great. It was like doing close-up magic, doing close-up.
Right.
But just like Chris, you go to your audience.
Right.
I don't like any barriers. You know,
Right,
you
right,
work
right.
places and it's like a barn theme, and you're in a corral. Knock this shit out of my way.
Yeah. Yeah. Connect. You
Or-
want to connect
or
with the
there's
audience, right?
20-foot gap. They got a dance floor. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you want it like
Bring
stacked.
the people in.
Yeah, you want to be stacked up on the stage and everything. That's
Look
what's
at
nice
Chris
about
Look at Chris is exhausted.
Yeah.
Chris is run on 2 hours sleep,
And he's still doing jumping jacks over in the corner.
Gotta do it.
You got to do it.
getting himself up.
That's how he brings that energy every time.
Yeah,
You got to do it.
yeah. This is as up as I get.
Yeah.
And I just go to work.
Well, that's probably one of the benefits of being a good storyteller, though, is that you can entertain 2 people with a good story.
Correct.
Versus,
Trying to do joke after joke. Getting
yeah. So I was at the gas station the other day. It's like it's not intimate. It doesn't. There's
Right.
no connection there.
Uh-oh.
And you've always told stories. Like I find that's hard to do, especially when you're doing like open mics. You only get 5 minutes. Like, how did you
Well,
practice
that's-
your stories? How did you?
Well, back then you got 10.
Right. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
When I first started, you got 10 minutes.
Did you start?
Okay.
Did you start in the '80s? Was that when
Yeah.
it was? Okay,
Right.
so it was during that whole boom.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so you got 10 minutes.
And there was probably stages everywhere, right?
There weren't many stages.
Okay.
No, there was Ridley's in Detroit, and that was the only club. Then later on, Chaplin's came. But by the time Chaplin's came, I was headlining.
Right.
And they had 3 or 4 rooms. I mean, I could work 20 weeks, 25 weeks a year and be in my own bed.
Wow.
Just driving an hour each way, Lansing, Toledo,
That's great.
driving within an hour and a half.
That's awesome.
So I would just be home.
Right.
And I know guys that lived in Chicago, and they would work Detroit rooms, and they would drive home every night.
Right.
They figured their job was 4 hours away, 5 hours away. They would drive, do their set, leave. Hang out at the house, come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Putting it in a good like 6-hour shift. Like 5 hour.
Well, that's
6-hour
just
shift.
it. How many people work 12-hour days? A lot of them.
Yeah.
Guys work 2 jobs, like guys and girls. People, humans,
Yeah.
female too. Yeah, don't get me started. We're all good.
Yeah.
But they, so I would just be. There was so much work in Michigan.
So that's-
Traverse City and Grand Rapids had 2 clubs. Every town had a club. it seemed
Right.
like. Some of them were shysters. They'd get 400 people in it. They'd charge $5, and
Yeah.
the only register was behind the liquor, behind the bar.
Yeah.
So all those $5 bills went in his pocket, day after day, year after year.
Right.
So,
Do you have any tips for telling stories?
wow, that's interesting question.
I've
Tips?
always, I've seen people struggle with it. I've seen some people are really good at it, and it comes natural. I feel like, but I don't know how do you practice telling a story? Does it just
I'll come up with an idea. I've never written anything.
okay?
I've never written anything. Something will happen to me, or I'll just go up with an idea and build that story
Right, you write on stage almost.
around. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I have we do have 4 grandchildren. They're named Keegan, Connor, Chloe, and Corey.
wow.
So half a glass of wine, I'm like Kiku, Kiku, like all old people do.
Yeah.
And then I threw in Kiku, Ku Klux Klan, Kunta Kinte.
Yeah.
And so that just grows. But if you watch something from 5 years ago, you might see a little snippet of what's now 6 minutes,
Right.
because it grows, and the stuff that works stays.
Sure. Yeah.
Because when I'm comfortable, you can ad lib, and then that piece stays or that doesn't. And I have friends that have seen me so many times they'll pick out new words.
Right. It's restructured in a different way a little bit.
Then you have people that you'll do an hour, and they'll come up and go, "You didn't do this, you didn't do that."
Yeah.
You're like, okay,
Like you're in Led Zeppelin.
yeah, exactly. yeah,
Stairway to Heaven. You're right. I did not do Stairway to Heaven.
exactly.
Do your
Exactly.
best hits.
I had other things on my mind. Thank you very much.
Or the boss does 3.5 hours, and they're like, you missed one of my songs. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And then there's comics that'll do so much time that the audience walks out.
Yeah.
Or today, now you can be political and
Right.
alienate half the people.
Unless you're billed that way.
Well,
Because Bill Maher goes out and does political stuff. People,
But-
they pay.
but-
yeah, but
He's
a
also
specific
built-
group of people go
yeah.
to see him.
Right, he's built that
You
audience.
can't slip that in there unexpectedly.
Yeah.
Norm Macdonald was just at the Royal Oak Music Theater in Michigan, and I had some comic friends go, and they were like super disappointed. They said before the end of his show, half the house was gone.
Wow. Norm Macdonald?
Yeah,
He's one of those guys,
they
though.
went on.
He's
he
a
went on
strange
rant
cat,
about
right?
something about being canceled, or
Yeah.
for years I've said if you put a club owner sucks dick on your social media, that's gonna come back and bite you in the ass. Man.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't even tell Chris or you guys, without microphones on, some shit about somebody without it getting back to him.
Yeah.
Somebody tried to blow up. Do you know Carol Pennington, Hysterical Management, up in
No.
Hysterical Management? She's got about 10 rooms and been in the business 25 years.
Yeah.
Money's always right. The accommodations are good. Everything's good. And somebody decided that, they went to see a show. One of the guys that owns one of her franchises, or one of their clubs.
Yeah.
Went and he sent an email to this kid going, dude, do this and this and this and this. This is what we would do.
Right.
And or something along those lines, or he sent it to the house, and said this shit should be done. And the place and social media went nuts and started slamming her, and
Jesus.
she's like, you fuckers don't know me.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, one disadvantage of working with Les Mccurdy is he's fucking funny.
Yeah, exactly. It's fucking funny.
Take some Xanax and go to work like the rest of us. Oh, but the Tampa's already down 3-0.
Oh man.
Bottom of the first.
Oh, he's gonna be pissed when he walks back in here. What?
I hope he's enjoying himself now.
Oh yeah.
What the fuck is that? All right, man. Have a great set. Nah, don't worry about it, brother. I'll see you down the road. Are you working Sunday?
Podcast. I'll be here Saturday night and Sunday.
All right, man. I'll see you on the weekend. Get some sleep and get home.
Kick ass, buddy. Oh, yeah, doing the podcast.
That's cool. He's plugging our podcast.
Yeah, right now.
Yeah.
As we're doing it.
Yeah.
Like they can listen. Like they can.
Yeah.
They could just tune in.
Well,
I thought about
they can
getting
catch it later.
I wanted to get a monitor in here and like run a feed because we film the shows and stuff. I wanted to run a feed so we could see them on stage and see how they're doing and stuff like that.
Oh, and just like a little
Yeah.
commentary track on the.
Yeah, I wonder if that would work.
That would be cool. I don't know. Just put it on that or something.
Yeah, you change the channel and be like, oh, Les is
Yeah.
still doing his.
Chris is like, get me on the fucking stage
Yeah.
so I can go home.
I know he's.
I keep having to fucking put the fuse out and then relight it.
Yeah, been stretching this whole
Ready,
time.
set, ready. Yeah, fucking, he's pregame for the last 15 minutes.
He's doing
7:27.
calisthenics over there.
I like that fucking bull.
Oh yeah. Just ready to gore the matador.
It's 7:27 now.
Yeah, we have no clock either, man. I don't know how you're gonna do it. Old school. Yeah,
I'll be off.
yeah.
Well, after you've done it for so long, you have a feeling of when
Sure.
when you're about done. Like you,
Oh, yeah.
you can tell like, okay, this bit's coming up. It's like, okay, it's about 10 minutes.
My problem is doing 50. Doing 50 is cutting 10
Really?
minutes out of what I'm comfortable doing.
Right.
I like to do an hour.
Oh, okay.
That's my real comfort zone. Everything else causes editing. And,
Alright.
Yeah.
well, at least you could have made him laugh a couple times, Mccurdy.
Very nice crowd. I did 10 minutes of your old shit. And it still works like a fucking charm.
Did the canoe trip?
Yeah, I was like, he's not gonna be happy when he gets back in here.
It's 4 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the first inning.
Yeah.
All right. 4.
We'll come back. We'll get it
Four's
back.
not unsurmountable.
No.
Let's get 2 more outs
And they've been singles.
and stop this shit.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
So you did canoe trip and Cupman and downhill skiing. Remember that downhill ski bit? It used to be
Yes.
fucking- It was 18 minutes long.
Oh,
People
my
would
God.
get up and go to the bathroom, come back like that fucker's still telling the same shit.
is he on the same run? Did he change runs?
Oh, God, that was
That's
in the show for years. Yeah.
lovely.
It's a water cooler right there, bud.
Do you ever, and I know it's and you'll have a bit you've done for a long time, and then it just kind of filters out of your
Right.
show, and then I forget about it.
Right.
Don't you?
Yeah.
I totally. And somebody will come up to you
And say,
go,
will you do this?
"What about the thing?" And you have to really think,
Right.
and go back. How did I do that?
Yeah.
And Pam mentioned the other night tube top, and I went, "Oh fuck! I used to do a fucking hilarious bit
Right.
on girls wearing tube tops
Right.
when we were young,
Yep.
and because it was like when back in the '70s, girls wore those tube tops with
No bra.
no bra.
Yeah.
And when you picked up a girl for a date, if she greeted you at the door wearing top jeans and a tube top, you knew.
You done.
You knew. He's gonna be part of your evening. What did it take? Little finger and 4 ounces of pressure, liberation. But it was true.
Well,
I said,
that's true.
what does a tube top become about 2 hours into the average day?
A dickie.
A belt.
A belt. I was close. I
Or a
went the
dickie.
other way.
I said a blindfold, depending on how kinky you were.
Or a blindfold.
dickie.
Or
Now,
a blindfold.
there's the thing. Do you know?
dickie.
Let's see a Mike at your age.
A
Have you ever
dickie?
heard that term? It's a piece of clothing.
No, never heard of
A
it.
dickie.
I've heard of the brand
Back in the
dickie,
day, a dickie was a turtleneck sweater, right? You know a turtleneck?
Yeah, turtleneck. Yeah.
Turtleneck that goes around. Well, back in the day, a dickie was a turtleneck, but it was just
And a
the
little-
turtleneck
and a little
with a little cloth,
bib, little
little
bib,
bib
like-
front and back, so you could put on a regular T-shirt with that
Oh.
under it, and it had kind of a, and they were cool.
It was classy.
Yes,
It was a fad. It was a
It
kind
was
of.
classy.
It was a kind of. Oh, really?
They have not come back.
No.
They say every part of fashion rotates
I
around.
haven't seen that.
Dickies have not made it back.
Why were they called
the
dickies?
tube top would either be a belt, a dickie, or like you said, a blindfold. If you have some rope, you might as well you go
Yeah,
over
sure.
it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, my kids will say, do canoe trip. I haven't done that in ages. I mean, but first time I got high. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deaf mutes at the going down and saying hi and somebody signing your back. And I do it every once in a while. I'll bring an old piece back and just put it in the show, and see how much of it you remember.
Yeah.
Because that's where it gets scary. Where you start doing. I'm putting some characters back in for the theater run this next spring.
Oh, cool.
And one is I do Forrest Hump, which is Forrest Gump's evil twin.
Forrest.
I wrote Jenny. She never wrote me back. She was banging everybody in Greenville. Just on and on with his different characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to, when I was touring, I had 3 character pieces, 2 that I always did. One was a Southern character, a stretch for me. I had to really work on
I
it.
guess.
And it was, did we get him? Yeah, we got him.
Violent.
Now, I'm just wondering, this pitcher, I thought Blake Snell was supposed to start for the Rays, the guy who was the Cy Young winner last year. And they started this other guy. That seems a little odd.
Yeah.
That seems a lot. Oh
They got a lot of game left.
yeah. 4's okay.
But your characters, you're talking about doing.
Yeah,
You
I
did a
character
Southern guy,
pieces.
which is.
Well, I did a. It was actually based on a real character that I'd met when I was doing summer stock theater in North Carolina. There was it was a tiny town. Most of those theaters. This was. You know what outdoor drama is?
Yeah.
Yeah, and most of these outdoor dramas, there's one in Florida. I think it's called The Cross and the Sword or something like that. And they're all historical pageant plays,
Yeah.
So we were doing one in this little town, Kenansville. Actually, if you've every once in a while you'll see an oil tanker and it'll say Kenan Oil.
Really?
And the Keenan family, that's where their plant that originated from. That still some of the old family lives in this little town of
Okay.
Yeah.
700 or something.
Yeah.
Holy
you
shit.
know, literally when the amphitheater I think held like 2,500 people. So when it was full, the town quadrupled in size.
Just the theater.
Yes,
Oh, shit.
and so one of the actors, they used local people to do all the extra work because
Right.
you know they're huge casts.
Yeah.
you know. And so one of the girls that was in the play, one of my buddies, another actor, was fucking around with her,
Right.
and she lived right there in the town. And we went over to her house one day, and there was a guy living in a back house on their property, and she goes, "You got to go meet this guy. He's wild." And his name was Tractor Driver. He wouldn't. That was the name he went by.
Tractor
was
Driver.
Tractor Driver.
Tractor Driver.
Because that's what he did. He drove a tractor.
Yeah,
and he's
short
the,
and
he's
sweet
the
to the
tractor
point,
driver.
yeah. Right.
And I was like, does he have a name? And nobody seemed to know. He was
The
the
guy
damn-
was just a tractor
he
driver.
was just a tractor driver
his whole life.
and he collected Sprite bottles.
All right.
He had quite a Sprite bottle collection.
This sounds like something Tractor Driver would do.
Yes. And they weren't all glass either. He had some plastic. Very proud
A
of it.
very diverse
Very
collection.
diverse Sprite bottle collection. So he literally wore he was one of those rednecks, little bitty guy, probably, and you see these little skinny guys that their clothes just hang on them.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure he could kick the shit out of him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like crazy,
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't
Oh,
fight. Wouldn't
Ray's
fight fair.
just hit a home run.
nice.
Right off the
All
bat.
right.
Nice.
That's
Damn.
what we needed.
Yeah.
That's what we needed.
This is
home
the
run
second
this
inning.
post.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Is that Kiermaier?
I don't know who
I
it is.
can't see who that is.
This is top two.
No.
So go. I don't know that. I can't read.
Shit. Is that where'd they find that fucking guy? I don't even know who the fuck he is. I've seen him play the whole time. Where'd he come up with this guy?
They just went over to Cuba. It's
They
like
found
anybody feel like playing the World Series?
Exactly. All of a
I
sudden
hit
they
the home
got
run.
4 guys from the Dominican Republic.
yeah,
you
I hit
never
the home
heard
run.
of.
I hit the home run. Okay, you come with me. I hit the home run.
Anyway, he wore his hat where you didn't even see his eyes. It was right on the bridge
real
of his
low.
nose. And of course, he's just one of them guys,
Right.
And so he was sitting there talking, telling us stories, and just cracking us up, just being, And I started playing with that as a character. I said, boy, I love it that he's a tractor driver, and that's what he
Yeah.
does. And, and so I played with that, and I used to do him, and then I did a blues character, which I still do.
Yeah.
I just did that.
Johnny
for
Lips,
Johnny
right?
Lips, where I play a harmonica, and that's how I closed the shows, because it was music, and I got into the audience and improvised and all. So and then I had one other character that was Etta Mae Fletcher, and Etta Mae was a maid, and this would happen in Memphis when I lived in Memphis when Elvis was still alive. Elvis really did get into a car every now and then with his guys, and they would ride around, and he would go, "Let's go give away a Cadillac today." Right. And they would ride around,
Wow.
and they would find. He loved finding an older woman at a bus stop, waiting on the bus.
Wow.
And they'd pull up and go, who are you? He said, "Ma'am, if it's okay with you, Elvis Presley would like you to get in the car, and he wants to take you over to the Cadillac dealership and buy you a Cadillac." And it'd be on the news every time, because the woman, the dealership would call, and
You do this a few times a year.
at least.
Wow.
And
That's gotta feel good. to do.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? To, like,
How trusting were people back then? It was like Elvis Presley would like you to come here. It's like, oh boy, oh howdy.
well,
Well,
when he rolled down the window, and it was Elvis.
Oh, it was Elvis. that
Oh,
would pick-
it
I
was-
thought you said he'd send somebody.
Oh, no,
to
no.
talk to them.
Oh,
He
wow.
sent somebody to go talk to him, but then
Yeah.
when she walked up, he would roll the window down. And
Oh, wow.
And Elvis was the type. I'm sure
Yeah.
he was such a gentleman kind of guy. He would get
Yeah.
out of the car,
Right.
open the door for her.
her. Oh, wow.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a seat here.
Yeah.
And then he'd take her to the
That's
Cadillac
amazing.
dealership, and he would get out with her and go, "You pick out whichever car you want,
Wow.
and it will not cost you a dime at all, at all." He paid for everything. And
that's amazing. This is before like Elvis impersonators.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it wasn't like nobody uses
Before
like a
they
kidnapping
ruined the-
scheme or anything.
Exactly.
Before they ruined the legacy.
Exactly. So
that's
there
kinda-
was one that I saw on television one time, and she was just, I mean, she was a 70-year-old woman at least, and just and Southern and just excited, and so I used to do that in the show.
You'd be her?
Elvis bought me a Cadillac and tell the story, you know. But the thing about a character piece is that I would have set material within it
Yeah.
that I knew would work. But then in a character piece, I would always start, if the crowd was good and you got into it in that first minute or two and they accepted the character and were enjoying it, then I would improvise with it. You know, I'd just start rolling with a story, trying stuff, talking to people in the audience.
Right.
So I've had a character piece can last just a few minutes, couple of minutes, few
Right.
minutes. But if the crowd really gets into a character, I've had a character go for 15, 20 minutes.
Wow.
And the thing is that, and at times you just cut it off. I mean, it's like I could just sit here and finish my set out as this character, you
Wow.
know, and just do the character. So
That's pretty cool.
it's a neat thing.
Yeah,
with
it becomes like a
characters.
thing of its own, like a mind of its own.
It
almost.
does. It
takes
just
on its own thing.
you know, you just kind of feel it out, and every once in a while the crowd just falls in love with the character,
Right.
And they almost don't want you to go
Yeah.
back. You know, like the first time Dan Whitney did Larry the Cable Guy
Yeah.
in our club. Well, is because he was doing it on the radio, and he and I had advertised that he was Larry the Cable Guy, and he goes, "You're the first guy that's ever done that because I don't really."
Right.
For a lot of different reasons, he didn't.
Yeah, it wasn't
he
allowed
didn't
to.
do that. It was just. He goes, "It's just a thing I do on the radio.
Right.
It's not in my act."
It's just a character.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but it's not in my act at all.
Right.
You know, I don't do that in my act. And we got talking about it, and I was like, "Man, it's really popular in Tampa. I mean, that character.
Yeah.
You know how popular it is. Why don't you try it? You know,
Yeah.
just in the middle of your act somewhere, just go into it, and hell, just tell jokes." As
Yeah,
Larry
just
the Cable
be
Guy.
him.
So
do what you do on the radio.
Was his act much different
Oh
before
yeah,
he was?
Oh no, he
really?
was just a one-liner guy.
Really?
Oh yeah, Dan wore khaki pants and loafers and a polo shirt, and
Yeah.
there's a
That's
picture
cool.
of him in the hallway.
Yeah.
the old Dan
As Dale Whitney?
Yeah.
Oh,
And-
wow.
And he was a one-liner, quick,
Really?
you know, very funny, but he was a one-liner guy.
Right.
And matter of fact, he was from Nebraska.
Right.
But I think if I remember correctly, his parents moved to Palm Beach when he was in high school.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
And
So that's
so-
where his connection to Florida comes in.
Right. So
okay.
he came here and was here for a few years. So, you know, Dan didn't really have a Southern accent.
No.
You know what I
No.
mean? He just had
Yeah.
kind of just a base level Midwestern, you know,
Right.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
He was nothing like that, but he could
No.
drop into it. And
Wow.
But yeah, he was doing it on the radio. And so that's what happened that night was he went into Larry the Cable Guy, and most of the crowd were fans of that radio show.
Right.
And they were like, "Oh my God, this is the guy."
That's
you
the
know?
draw right there, too.
And they loved it.
Yeah.
And when he came out of it, and to close, you know, I think he did it for about maybe 15 minutes or something like that.
Sure, yeah.
And then he came out of it to close out the show with his normal closer. They didn't want him to quit being Larry. You know
Oh,
what I
yeah.
mean? They were in love with
Yeah.
that character.
Yeah.
And
Don't
so-
break the spell.
So
Almost.
Yeah.
the second show, you know, he came off and was like, "That went well." And I was like, "Yeah, it went well." I was like, "Why don't you do the whole second show? It's a Friday night.
Yeah.
Why don't you do the whole show as Larry? Just
See
I
what
go,
happens.
It's me. I don't get if it doesn't work. It doesn't work. We're
Right.
in Sarasota.
Yeah.
I was paying him $600 for the weekend.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what
Wow.
I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, this is back in the late '80s, you
Sure,
know,
yeah,
early
yeah.
'90s. And I said, "Well, just try it. What the fuck?" And he goes, "I don't have enough material." I said, "Just do your act. Do your
Right.
act, but just do it as Larry. You just do it as the character." And he did. He went and he found a flannel. He had a flannel shirt. And I don't know if he cut the sleeves out
Yeah.
of it, but he found a shirt and a hat. Dan.
Talking about Dan.
Yeah.
And he came back and he did the whole show. And of course, killed, and then he did it the rest of the weekend, and then I said, "What's your next open day?" You know, and it was a couple of months away. I said, "Let's book it. Let's bill you as Larry the Cable Guy." And I said, we'll make it a special event. I'll up the cover charge a couple of bucks.
Yeah.
And we'll split the door. What do you think?
Yeah.
And he's like, cool. And he had a date in Tampa, at a Tampa club in between.
Right.
And he did it there. And it drew.
Yeah.
And it worked. And I know when he came to my club a couple of months later, we split the door, and I think we both made $1,500 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, at least maybe a couple of grand.
Yeah.
And we were like, wow, this is good. You know, and of
Yeah.
course, he just wasn't a character comic, and he just wasn't thinking about it. You
Yeah.
know, he wasn't quite thinking about the popularity of it
Or the possibility
radio.
of it. Yeah.
Right.
And he, of course, then he went to work on it, man.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Kudos
and
to
it
him.
flourished.
Made it his
The
own.
rest is history from
Yeah.
there. He's
Yeah,
selling out
absolutely.
arenas. And,
Oh, yeah. He's got
So he started that here.
First time he ever did it was and he's given me the credit many times. He's he's been so nice about that. You know, we were just texting the other day when football's on.
Oh, yeah.
If Nebraska's doing anything, I'll text him.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were going back and forth about the grandkids and his kids
Right.
and just shit. And he was like, "Hey, by the way, thanks again for telling me to do that character of yours. It worked out really good."
It worked out really good.
But
Yeah.
I understand Foxworthy started at one of the chaplains
no.
with
with
Redneck.
Well, I don't know
Because
about
he said
that.
he said
I don't know about that.
I'm not a redneck. He goes, you took a cab or a limo. You brought a limo to a bowling alley because the other side of it was a bowling alley.
Oh, okay. That might be true.
Yeah, and,
I know that
you might be a redneck.
the reason Jeff had the book was because James Gregory, who, was the only nobody merchandised until James.
You ever
Oh,
heard of
yeah.
James Gregory?
No.
James
No,
Gregory
James
is
Gregory.
James Gregory never got to be famous, but he had probably 20 markets that he could go sell out comedy clubs there, sell out 6, 7, 8 shows a week.
Wow.
I mean, he became a multimillionaire.
Right.
He still goes and works small town. You know what James does now? Been doing this for years. He still does some clubs. He's got Birmingham and
Right.
places like
He'll do little
Chattanooga.
theaters.
He goes into a town like Arcadia,
Right.
okay, where there's nothing to do. There's nothing to do.
Yeah.
But there's a pretty good sized population. It's the county seat there and around it. And, maybe 10,000 people, 20, something like that.
Yeah.
He'll find, he looks for the biggest place he can do a show. So it might be the Moose Lodge, it might be the school auditorium or whatever. But he'll generally find some place that'll hold at least 500 people.
Wow. Yeah.
And he goes in and he advertises himself, he markets himself through there, charges like $20-25 a head, goes in there, and sells it out.
Les is going back to
Yeah,
take off Chris.
jumping from the house.
Yeah,
Nice
he did.
set, Chris. Killing him.
Nice, brother. Have fun
Killing
with
him,
that.
man. Yeah, thanks.
All right. You heading out, Chris?
Oh, yeah, I gotta head out.
All right, buddy.
Yeah, he's working on 2 hours
still rolling?
sleep right now.
Yeah, we're still rolling.
Okay, thank you very much.
Seems like you have fun. That'll keep you awake on the way home, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Just long enough. Have fun, bro.
Yeah. Driving off that high of that set.
Yeah, it sounded like you were crushing out
Yeah.
there, buddy.
It's fun. Yeah, they're a good crowd.
Oh, yeah. It's always a good crowd here.
I'm sorry I can't stay.
No problem. No problem. When James,
Right.
James came to comedy a little older and wiser than the rest of us. He already had a good career as a salesperson.
Right.
So we've talked about this on the podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
I love giving James kudos because people don't know James, and he's a historical part of stand-up comedy and what it's
Right.
become. And because nobody merchandised. And
Right.
James developed a show that had catchphrases, and so that people would remember him. You know, it was very strategic. Had catchphrases, had slogans that he could put on a T-shirt and sell the T.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, he never sold a T-shirt. It was always a jersey, because you
that's
can
smart.
charge $5 more for a jersey, because it's a jersey.
It's smart.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just
And,
sounds like a brilliant guy already.
Yes, he was brilliant. And when James, and James is a self-promoter, you know, and he, like the first time I brought him to Sarasota, and I already knew him, I'd known him for a while. We opened a club in Chattanooga, First to Comedy Catch, and by the second time he was there, he was a star there. I mean, the second time he came to Chattanooga, no, third time. Second time he came to Chattanooga, the local news channel, comedy was very new then. This is the mid '80s, so the news anchor there loved James from seeing him the first two times, and he said, next time you're in, I want to put a camera on you all day. I want to go through the day of a stand-up comedian, and then we'll edit it down to a little special, and then we'll tape your show and take maybe 10, 15 minutes out of that.
Right.
And James was cool. Well, when they aired that after the evening news on a Saturday night or something like that, and it was like a 30-minute special.
Oh, wow.
You know, it wasn't just a blip on the news.
Sure,
it was like
yeah.
a whole piece. Well, that made him a star in Chattanooga.
Wow.
The next time we brought him in, we were supposed to do 7 shows. I think we did something like, we at least doubled it.
Whoa.
Yeah, we did at least 15. I mean,
Holy
we were doing
shit.
afternoon shows. We were in a 170-seat room, and we were just selling it out. Every time we'd announce a show, we'd sell it out.
Holy shit.
But James, when he came here the first time, and I already knew that about James, you know, he was building markets.
Right.
Dan did the same thing. He
Yeah,
knew
yeah.
radio was his power. But I told James, I said, I think I was paying headliners maybe $1,000 to come in and do 5 shows on the weekend. And James goes, I don't want that $1,000 less. I want you to spend it on advertising. And I want you to tell me where you're spending it. And he goes, because I can tell you for sure, I'm going to spend at least another 1,000, at least, on advertising too.
Wow.
He goes, I don't want $1,000. He goes, I want 10,000, you know, at least. I want to develop markets where I can come in and sell 1,000 tickets. You know what I
Right.
mean? I want that. And he goes, and he had a whole strategy. You had to book him first year in. You booked him 4 times every 3 months, and then the next year 3 times every 4 months, and then the next year twice. And the goal was by the time we hit year 3, we should be kicking. You know, I should really have my fan base developed.
Right.
And if I don't, then I've tried that market, and let's go on to something else. If I can't get enough people to make, you know, if I don't have a certain amount of money, because I remember when he came in the last time, and it was that twice a year thing, he walked with about $6,000, and he goes, well, Les, this was fun, but Sarasota's just not my market. And I said, you made $6,000, man. And he goes, yeah, that's not what I'm looking for.
Wow.
You know, so, you know, he had those goals. He was very strategic about it. He had merchandising. He taught all of us to merchandise in the Southeast. He encouraged all the comics, have something at the end of the show. You need the extra money. You need it, and it helps your fan base remember who you are. So now, it might have been that Jeff Foxworthy came up with the redneck idea at some other club, but I'm sure that the reason he developed the book and sold it after was because
James
that's
Gregory.
James.
Oh yeah.
He told us. He told everybody, and Foxworthy was an Atlanta-based comic. James was an Atlanta-based comic. You know. So
He probably got it from bands and stuff like that too, right?
I remember Foxworthy was the first celebrity headliner that we ever brought in, because I knew Jeff from the time he was a middle act. You know, because we were all kind of in that Southeast.
Right.
Yeah.
And great guy. And I remember contacting him, and at that point he was starting to get pretty popular, you know.
Yeah.
And so I got in touch with him personally, and just like, hey, we'd like to give it a shot. I don't know if it'll work or not. I hope it will. And Jeff was like, well, this is normally what I get paid, which was a lot more than I normally pay. He goes, look, we'll do my deal, but trust me, at the end of the week, we'll just look at how much money we generated in ticket sales, and we'll split it up fair. You know, I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to beat you up.
Right.
And I mean, I think he sold 1,000 tickets first. I mean, it was fucking great.
That's
But
awesome.
But I remember Jeff telling me, he said, you know, the redneck book, he had the book, he's selling the shit out of them. And at that point, he had gotten them in, like he started out, he got them in Cracker Barrels, just in the Atlanta area.
I've seen those at Cracker Barrels all over. So.
He got them in Cracker Barrels just in the Atlanta area. And then he got them in, I think he got it in the Atlanta airport or something like that. And then it kind of got in more Cracker Barrels and more airports and, you know, things like that. He said, he goes, used to, we would get the royalty check for the books would come in, and when you got the envelope, you knew what it was. And him and his wife, Greg, who he's been with forever, he goes, you know, we get the check, and Greg would be so excited. You go, oh, we can buy the new washing machine.
Yeah,
You know what
right.
I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
We can buy the television that we need. We can buy something we need. He goes, that's how much it would be, you know, something like that. He goes, just before, he told me this was probably around 1990, in there, maybe a little 91, 92. He said, I just got one of those checks, came just before I left. I pulled it out, and he goes, it was $50-something thousand. You know, and he was like, wow.
What the?
Now, of course, now that's nothing
To him,
No,
yeah.
oh
To him,
God,
no.
A
You know,
fucking
of
billionaire. Yeah.
Of course it is. But just grassroots effort.
Yeah.
and,
That's
know.
awesome.
What was the stats you were saying about him? That he sold more.
From my understanding, this was a thing that came up several years ago. Was a question of
See you,
I see, man.
question on some television show was common. Who was the most successful selling comedian of all time?
Yeah.
Of all time, and it was Jeff. Above Bill Cosby, Pryor, Steve Martin.
All of them like combined.
It was.
Wow.
He was the biggest selling
Most
of everybody.
like sold more albums and like.
Here's a funny story on that. There's a guy who let me think of his name. He was an Atlanta-based comic. God, dog it! I can't believe I'm spacing the guy's name out. He's older. He's about 10 years older than we are, and he had a comedy club, a little comedy club in Atlanta. Maybe 100-seater or something, and good comic, had built up a name for himself down there, and this, that, and the other, and good tour and headliner, and so here Jeff now is famous. Famous.
Yeah.
And so he gets a call to do a private gig, I don't know, up in D.C. or somewhere.
Right.
And corporate kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah.
And he goes, my money to do that back then, it was like $2,500 and your expenses. And they were like, cool, no problem. They go, but you're just opening. You're not the act. Jeff Foxworthy is the act. And he goes, oh, okay. He goes, I know Jeff. I hadn't seen him in a while. That'll be great. He goes, but I just got to ask you, you're paying me $2,500. You're paying me good money.
Yeah.
What are you paying Jeff? And it was $25,000.
Yeah.
Right? So, which is piddly money for him now.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
It's
anyway,
crazy.
so he gets up there. Jerry Farber. Jerry
Farber.
And Jerry's Jewish, by the way.
Yeah.
And there's say that because it's part of the story. So he gets up there, and they get to the gig, and there's Jeff. Hey, whatever, and they're talking and catching up. And Jerry goes, I got to tell you, Jeff. He goes, I know what they're paying you. you know, and they're paying me, you know, $2,500. He said, "Do you really think you're 10 times funnier than me?" And he said, Jeff went, "No, Jerry, I'm not. I'm not 10 times funnier than you. But there's 10 times more rednecks than there are Jews." It's just math, man.
Damn. That's a good comeback right there.
That was
That's
fun.
good.
And true.
And true.
Yeah.
True.
And true.
And true.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Jerry,
amazing.
That was a funny story, Jerry.
Oh no, those books, they're still on the shelves at Walmarts and Cracker Barrels everywhere.
Yes.
His CDs, they still do really well, I think, with
Yeah.
Walmart.
People love him.
I
mean, they
I
really
remember
do.
when the Blue Collar Comedy Tour came out.
They really do love him.
They were just everywhere. In
Well,
Walmart.
if you go out in our green room,
Yeah, I've seen
you
it.
see the poster?
Yeah.
You know, they released that as a movie
Right.
in regular
Yeah.
Yes,
theaters.
I remember that.
Remember?
Yeah.
And because the Kings of Comedy,
Did their thing.
Cedric
It was-
and DL and those guys
Yeah.
had done that first, and it had been a major hit.
Right.
So there, you know, Foxworthy and Bill were like, "Hey, let's do the same thing Southern."
Right.
And they had been touring and together, and they've been trying some other acts, and it just shook out that Dan and Ron just clicked. It was just a
Right.
great chemistry between them, and it was cool to have a character comic, and then
Yeah.
Ron was the bad boy
Right.
kind of guy.
He was
And-
dangerous.
Yeah.
Like
And-
I remember. I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's
you, but,
okay.
But that was actually the first bit of stand up I've ever watched. Was the Blue Collar Comedy
Oh, cool.
Tour.
For a lot of people.
Noticing, yeah.
A lot,
So
because that was the
noticing-
first.
yeah.
I'll stop you there
Yeah.
because that was the first. That was one of the first times you could actually watch something with your parents, besides like maybe Cosby or
Right.
Sinbad.
Right.
Sinbad was the first one I ever watched, but then it was a Blue Collar Tour immediately because you
Right.
could sit down and watch it with the family, and,
Yeah.
and I don't think they understand how many kids they inspired to want to do stand up.
Right.
Oh,
Like,
well,
for real.
That's
So
cool.
seeing that
Yeah.
poster, that like means like a little something to me.
Well, you
like,
know,
that
when
was,
when you know, Dan and I were talking during that
Yeah.
time, and he was telling me what was happening.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't Dan at that point. Ron was just a touring headliner. I mean, he
Right.
played my club a
Yeah.
couple times, and he came in for just regular tour money.
Yeah.
Now Dan was already had several markets where he was selling out. You know, he was already, but just in those specific, I don't know how many he had, let's say 10 or 12 or whatever.
Right.
But he was
Yeah.
making good money, but still wasn't a star. You know,
no,
people didn't
not
know.
like how he is now.
And so I was like, well, hey, we'll push the movie at the club. You know, I'll push it. We'll put it up. You know, and I remember going to the movie theater when it opened, and I was the only one in the theater.
Oh, really?
There wasn't another human being in that
Wow.
theater. It didn't do shit in the movie theaters
No, it
at
didn't.
all.
No.
So they sent me one of the posters, and they all signed it, and
Yeah.
that was cool.
Yeah.
And so then, and I remember Dan saying, "Well, hey, I'm in a movie."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He goes, "What the fuck? I'm in a movie.
Yeah.
I got a movie forever."
Yeah.
You know. So what happened was, then it went to video. Back when
That's-
you had Blockbuster,
yeah.
and that's
when it hit.
when it
Yeah.
went to video. And when it went to video, it became like the top 10
Immediately.
rented video
Oh, yeah.
within that year. And then Comedy
Yeah.
Central
Bought it, yeah.
decided to air it.
That's where I
and it
saw
was
it
the
on, yeah.
top rated show at that time that had ever been aired
Yeah.
on Comedy Central.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And at that point, it exploded.
And their CD sales as
It
well.
exploded.
Yeah, yeah,
And I remember
just
Dan,
everything.
and Dan was booked. Dan was booked in the club, and I just had not set a date with Ron. And Dan was booked a few months out, and Dan
Yeah.
called me and he said, "Hey man," he goes, "listen," he goes, I can't do the club date." He goes, I wanted to, I told my agent and manager, I said, "Hey, I want to go ahead and do the rest of the club dates that I already have booked." And they were like, "Dan, it doesn't make sense."
Yeah.
He said, "You're not. Why are you going to Les's club? I mean, I know you like the club and you like Les, but you can sell out the Performing Arts Hall there, you know, for $50 to $100 a ticket.
Yeah.
It's just we can't. You've moved to another level."
Right.
So he called me. He said, "Look, I got to cancel the date, but I am coming to Van Wezel." He goes, "When I come there, you're going to be part of that deal, you know. And he goes, you don't have to do any. All you do is just announce it at your club that I'm going to be there, and I'm going to cut you a check, you know. And I think he gave me $5,000 or something like that, which was really nice. I mean, they were great, thanks. And we went to
That's
the
what Ron White does too.
We went to the titty
bit.
bar, and so that was and of course I don't. That was way back. We were young.
Oh wow!
And we went to the titty bar, and Pam was like, she called me. I was there. She didn't come. She was running the club.
Yeah.
She goes, and you know, Dan and knew Pam real well, and so Pam was like, "Where we gonna go hang out?" I go, "Titty bar, I think is where everybody wants to go." She goes, "Oh fuck, I want to go to the titty bar." I said, "Oh, come on, Pam. It's just, you know, it's no big deal. It's not a thing." And that was, I don't know if that was the first time. I think it was maybe the first time Pam had ever been
wow.
to the titty bar. And of course, we're in the VIP section.
Of course, yeah.
I said, we'll be in the VIP section. When you get there, you know, come to this, and we'll come get you, and da da. And so Pam tells the story. She goes, "You know what the VIP section is at a titty bar? It's on the other side. Like, you can still, everybody can see you. Like, they're over there and you're over here. It ain't like
That's special.
what I expected." And then we were sitting there, and of course, you know, the girls are giving lap dances, and they're fucking slapping their tits on the guys' faces and shit. And she's sitting there going, "I didn't think you were allowed to touch in these." I said, "Well, it's very innocent to touch, you know." She was like, "Some bullshit. This is fucking
Questioning all of this.
I believe that this is a house of prostitution."
Just got to pay for nursing school.
What I believe it is.
Yeah.
It's funny. But, yeah, so, yeah, I remember talking to him about maybe 4 or 5 months into it, and he was like, "It's unbelievable." He goes, "I am going to cities that I have no connection to, like Portland, Oregon, or something. I'm selling out a 5,000 seat venue by myself.
It's crazy.
Just me." And he said, it's flabbergasting. You know, all over North, I mean, he's going up to Canada, you know, all these places. And he goes, "I have no idea how much money's coming in." He goes, "I know how much they're charging for tickets, and I know how big the venues are.
I can imagine.
I know what that is." But he goes, "It's coming in so fast." And I remember Jeff Dunham telling me the same thing when Ahmed hit.
Oh, yeah.
And he was already a big
star.
He was already a big star and already very
that
successful.
Ahmed character,
sparked
that
him.
just blew up.
We went over, like, he was literally at my club, and then when he was there, he told me, he said, "This will be the last time I'm here." He did finish doing some clubs.
Yeah.
Went back. He said, "This is blown up, and it's just going crazy."
Yeah.
And literally a year later, he's in Amalie Arena in Tampa playing to 10,000 people. From playing my place, and probably the Comedy Works or whatever was up in Tampa, and selling 3,000 tickets to 10,000 seat arena full
a night.
And he was, afterwards we hung out and was talking about that year, and he was like, "Listen, I just got back from Japan and Singapore, places, Hong Kong, Singapore, I don't know, you know, all these over there, South Africa, Johannesburg." And he goes, "I'm selling out 10,000 seat at least arenas there." And he goes, "I don't need, like, they speak English. They speak English, you know." But he goes, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing.
I remember the Spark of Insanity DVDs and stuff that came out. You don't want to know why. It's something like Larry the Cable Guy like strikes a chord with so many different people though.
Oh yeah.
Like just middle America, like
Absolutely.
they're gonna come out and spend $45 to $150 on those tickets, you know.
Well, you know, I think
crazy.
to me, Dan was the first real Southern character that wasn't just a complete dolt.
Right.
You know what I mean?
He's super sharp.
Yeah, because
like
before
always
the
on.
Grand Ole Opry kind of characters. Now, Minnie Pearl was pretty sharp,
Right.
But
Yeah.
before that, you had Jerry Clower for his day, but he was a storyteller.
Right.
Now Minnie Pearl was kind of a one-liner.
Yeah.
But the other country guys were just almost kind of clownish.
Yeah, they're just
extreme
goofballs. Yeah.
And then he came along and was sharp.
Yeah, his jokes were very good.
And
They're very witty, very smart.
Yeah.
And but
he did remain a bit of a one-liner as Larry.
Yes, he did. Yeah. You can still see it because he has so many punches. Just like in his hour, like if I forget what it was, somebody was talking about it. They're like, if you count like the amount of punchlines that he has, it's like over 100.
Oh yeah.
Just in like that 45
That's how-
minutes or whatever.
Yeah,
That's how Dale Jones is. It reminds me of Dale Jones. He's a character comic, right?
Yes.
And he does not stop. Like it's bang, 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 bang. There's no real bits almost, right?
Right.
Like doesn't feel like it anyway. I could
not
be
like
wrong.
really a story.
No.
It's just quick.
There's no arc.
You know
Like
what
you
I
say
mean?
it best. Like if you take anything away from the show, you're probably crazy. Like,
Right. If you took a theme or
Yes.
were enlightened in some way,
Yes.
you're nuts.
You're nuts. You need yourself checked.
Yeah, that wasn't the purpose.
But yeah, he remind because he's 100 miles an hour.
It's all about just getting as many laughs as you can.
Yeah.
It's all about just that.
I was amazed at that. I always thought, like, I remember when I saw Dale for the first time, I was like, I put him up there with like Sinbad almost, where just insanely funny. Just never appealed
But
to.
but Dale, I've watched Dale. I mean, Dale middled for me a long time.
Did he? Yeah.
Before he developed that character, strong enough.
Strong enough, right?
Because he worked his ass off because it just wasn't like that
No.
right out of the fucking chute.
No.
There was a lot of years where it could just be too much for the crowd. It's like too silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had to learn to balance it, how to
Right.
deliver the right way, and with that kind of a crazy character.
Yeah, like
and
not
find
believable.
the right kind of material.
Right.
And but no, he's just fun. Well, that's the thing. And y'all probably the same way. Hey, I'm a comic. Well, who's your favorite comedian?
Yeah.
And many times I go, you've never heard of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I can name you a Dale Jones or a John DeCrosta or
Right. Eric Myers or something like that.
well, Eric. But I was thinking there's some guys that come in here that've been coming in here for a while that I just really enjoy
Watching them, yeah.
watching them and their kind of humor and that are
Scott
just,
Novotny kind
just
of.
great. They're
Yeah.
just great acts. They
Yeah.
just never got a television show
Right.
or a movie
Yeah.
deal. I mean, and more than not, don't.
They're still successful though. That's the way I look at it, right?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Of course.
you make a living. Me and Norm were talking about that. We played golf today, and we were talking about the fact how blessed we've been, to have not only been able to make a living at comedy, but to have managed our life in a way to where we made a good living. Like
Right.
he's still working, but he works when he wants to.
Right.
And he's raised a family. He's kept his marriage.
Yeah.
He's owned a home. He's now retired with a retirement home. He's saved money,
Yeah.
but he's a pharmacist.
Right.
Norm's a pharmacist, and Norm, when he got into comedy, he had that day job, and then as a pharmacist, he was able to do what he needed to do to get accredited in whatever states he was touring in. So when he would come down here, even years ago, he would contact Walgreens or
Wow.
CVS or anybody that had pharmacies and go, hey, I'm licensed to be a pharmacist there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be there working the comedy club. I'm free during the days between
Oh,
this
that's
hour
awesome.
and this hour. So if you need
Yeah.
you need somebody in a pinch, somebody wants off work or whatever,
Yeah.
and he would literally come down and pick up a couple of pharmacy shifts.
That's
Well, hell,
awesome.
he makes killer money.
I
doing
love that hustle.
Uh-huh. And it's like you have
Wow.
another income. And that was the thing about me sliding into the comedy club business was that I met Pam and married her, and I went, being on the road all the time, it ain't gonna work out.
No.
You know, and I'm not losing her.
No.
You know, so it was either move to New York or L.A., get a day job, do comedy there and just there, you know, and then, but we don't like Los Angeles. It's too congested. It's too crowded. It's just too much.
Yeah.
And it's fun to go party there, but I don't want to live in it.
Yeah.
And we like Manhattan, but it's too expensive.
Right. Yeah. Way too
You know, you had to. We knew, and if we ever started a family, unless you're really wealthy,
Yeah.
you can't live in Manhattan, so we would end up moving to Jersey or
Right.
something out in line. I go, that
Sure.
defeats the purpose of
Yeah.
being up there.
Yeah.
So we were like, we knew we were in love with Sarasota, and we're like, well, if we can go down there, get a little weekend room going, to the point where it's making enough money that Pam can run the club, I can cut my touring back to no more than 2 weeks a month, which puts me away from her 10 to 12 days. And I go, that we had talked about it. That was we were both very comfortable with that.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
I said, I'll never do more than that. And, you know, and we can have a nice life.
Yeah.
You know, we never figured, you know, you're going to make a shitload of money or anything like that. Have a nice life. And
Yeah.
do it. And it's worked out better than we thought it would.
Oh,
I mean,
You
yeah.
know?
Fuck yeah. Though.
And as soon as Taylor was born, I was like done with the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did that for 10 years, and the road begets the road.
Yeah.
After a while, a road is to me the road's a place to develop.
Sure.
But
yeah.
once you are developed, I mean,
Right.
once you're developed, then are you just going to stay on the road? Because if you do, that's what you're going to do. You're
Yeah.
just going to stay on the road. You're not becoming famous on the road.
No.
You know, somehow, either through now the internet yourself,
Right.
but the internet, when you say through the internet is just a television show.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Another
It's a TV
screen.
show.
Yeah.
You know, and so somewhere you got to get that
Yeah.
to become famous enough that you take that next leap,
Yeah.
you know, kind of a deal. But, you know, we've talked about this many times, and, you know, but we have, you know, but that's a big deal that's what I taught when I did up there, the career management thing with everybody was.
Yeah. I'm
If you
kind of
do
mad I
two
missed that.
If
Yeah.
you do two things as a comedian when you get started, first and foremost, save $50 a month. Save $50 a month. Start a retirement account. You
Yeah.
know, maybe just buy an IRA at the beginning, whatever. Save $50 a month, because $50 a month over 40 years at a 5% net, you're going to have over $100,000 saved.
Right.
Now, you can't retire on that, but let me tell you what: when you're 65 years old and you're still doing comedy, because you still will be,
Yeah.
it sure is going to be nice to have $100,000 sitting over there
Yeah.
when you need it,
Yeah.
instead of working you know,
Eking
having
by.
a couple of $1,000s in the bank
Right.
and you're
Yeah.
65 years old.
Sure.
So that was number one. And the other thing is, think about that you're going to live healthy, doing comedy, being, you know, active and everything, at least till 80. At least 80. I said 80, you can still, 90 seems like a push, but let's take it to 80.
Yeah.
Where do you want to be? How do you picture yourself at 80? Where are you living? What kind of house are you living in? Where are you living? What are you doing? What's your life like at 80? How do you want it to be? Not
Yeah.
gloom and doom. No. How do you
Yeah.
picture yourself 80, successful 80? You know, comfortable 80.
Yeah.
Comfortable, not rich,
Right.
especially. Hey, if that works and you do, great. That's gravy. You know, like I tell them, I go, don't pull your dreams back, and not dreams, goals.
Your goals
Don't pull
back.
your goals back. Have the goals. But Chichi Rodriguez, famous golfer,
Yeah.
famous professional golfer, always said, whenever you play around the golf, you should have a goal. You should have a goal of what you want to do that day. The most important thing in the world is be willing to change your goals.
Yeah. Yeah.
if all of a sudden you make two triple bogeys in a row,
Yeah.
you're you're probably going to need to change your goal that day a little bit.
Adjust accordingly.
Adjust
Yeah.
accordingly.
Yeah.
But look at yourself there, because that gives you a road. It gives you a path to move towards. You know what you're moving towards. You're not just going year to year, hoping, I hope I get to middle everywhere. Oh, I hope I get to headline everywhere. Oh, I hope I get a television show. Oh, and then I hope I make you're just trying to catch up.
Yeah.
But see that and then start making a plan for yourself to get there. Save money, make a plan. And then the only other thing that I told him was, if you want to be a road comic, I mean, you really want to do that you go, I don't want to go get the day job. I would rather be 40 weeks on the road the rest of my life. And I have a lot of friends that have done that for 30, 40 years. You know? I'd rather do that. I go, don't get married.
Yeah.
Don't get married.
Yeah.
Because it ain't going to work out.
Never does.
If you're gone more than you're there. There are some exceptions, but they're few and far between.
Yeah.
And I went, then just accept that that's the deal, and don't marry the waitress at the Cincinnati ho-ho house because you're 10 years in and you're lonely.
Yeah, exactly.
You're on the road all the
You're
time.
scared.
And she was attracted to you, and you had the best fucking time of your life that week with her.
Yeah.
And then she comes out and meets you, and and you're just like, and you get lulled into marrying her, but you're not willing to stop touring. And then on top of that, you have a kid. Well, how you gonna catch up with your money when you're having to split everything in half?
Right.
So
that's like David Tell. David Tell committed to that, like exactly what you said. Everything you just said, he did that. He committed to being a club comic. And he's dipped into like greater fortunes and stuff, but his goal from the get-go was to be a road comic, a club comic.
And
never
that's
got
fine.
married.
That's fine when you're okay with that.
When you're okay with that, right?
You've made that decision. That's your lifestyle. You like it. And there's a lot of comics out there that love the road life. I mean, they really do. They enjoy it. And, they got them a little condo somewhere they bought.
Yeah.
And a dependable car, a comfortable car. Mm-hmm. And they can fly to a bunch of the gigs. And, they are happy as shit.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Some people are cut out for it. But just do everything you can to avoid going into your 50s with no money in the bank. Right.
It starts to get really stressful. Because the idea at that point, you're seeing that, hey, I've been doing this for 20 years, let's just say, at least.
Yeah.
And I've never gotten a big pop. Now, I've tried, and and I've got a great show, and I can work, and I can get headline gigs, but I've never gotten a television show. I've never gotten anything that takes me to the next level.
Sure, yeah.
Well, the idea that that's going to happen, but that it didn't happen between 30 and 50, but it's going to happen between 50 and 70. Even in your own head, even though you're not giving up, but even in your own head, the odds are dropping off.
Rodney Dangerfield might be like one of the only exceptions.
One of the few guys.
Yeah, very
in a time where you probably could do that though too. At the same time,
Well, in a time where if you got on the Tonight Show, there was a way to become an overnight success
and pull it together.
The Tonight Show was so massive.
Yeah, what is the way to become an overnight success now? I don't even know.
I don't think
viral video.
Yeah,
but even with a viral video,
really.
would be,
not really though, because it's a viral video every day.
But you got to be ready to capitalize on it.
Right. You have to have that background of of work
That's right.
to match it. So
To where
like
you're-
Bill Burr
That's
with
right.
his big Philly rant, he had years of experience, and then once that Philly rant came out, that was huge.
He was ready.
Yeah, he was
had
ready
a-
for that.
He had a ton of material
Right.
as good as that.
Right.
As good as that, yeah.
That
Better.
now people
Yeah.
go, who is this guy?
Yes.
Yeah. I
And
love him.
now
Yeah.
you're like, oh man, I just watched 10
Yeah.
Right.
little YouTubes of him or whatever that are just as funny as
Right.
that.
Sure, yeah.
You're ready,
Yeah.
but you got to be ready. I mean, you
Right.
got to have literally it happened to Dunham. But Dunham was already very, very successful. But he went to another level.
Just with
When-
that Ahmed
With
bit.
Ahmed.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. He
Yeah.
went to another level. But I mean, he had the body of work.
Yeah.
Right.
He was built up to
Right.
that point. So, I mean, overnight success. I mean, but going back to that, when Rodney hit on the Tonight Show, he was ready.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
He was ready to step in front of crowds
Yeah.
and do an hour and kill.
Yeah.
When Roseanne, when she hit the Tonight Show, she was a star the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing.
Yeah.
But she was ready.
She was ready.
She was already a headliner.
Yeah.
She could go out and capitalize on that, get all the club work and stuff, and go and kick ass.
Kick ass, yeah.
And as opposed to, there's some acts that have hit on these shows like
AGT.
America's Got Talent,
They ain't
or
ready.
back when Last Comic Standing and stuff like that, and they literally only have 15, 20 minutes of material.
Yeah.
And now they're a celebrity and they can't back it up.
Right.
And
They get one shot at
you
that.
shot
too.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You
you
just
shot your
burnt
gun
so
before
many
you're
bridges.
Blew your load.
out of
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
Now, an example of someone who did that but still became a huge star was Amy Schumer.
Yeah.
And
Good
Amy
point.
didn't win it, but
Right.
she was a top
Yeah.
5 or whatever.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
blew
And
up
she was
real
a
fast.
25 minute act.
Yeah.
And she went out and developed and just worked real hard, and she didn't hit right out of the bat, but it brought notice to her.
Mm-hmm.
So it got her to where she could get on other little cable shows as a guest and things like
Sure.
that. She really worked it, and I mean, it took her a while. I mean, from the time she was on Last Comic Standing until she was a serious star, I'm betting that was at least 10 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
At least.
I didn't know
At
that.
least.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
She was getting stuff, but still.
I remember
she
the first
worked
time I
hard.
saw her was on a Comedy Central roast.
Yeah.
She was a roaster, and no idea who she was, but she was very funny, and I could tell she belonged there.
Right.
Yeah.
I could really tell, yeah.
That's what really blew her up too, was that roast.
Right.
That's what kind of started her.
Well, it was funny
trajectory.
because somebody goes, who the fuck is Amy Schumer and Anthony Jeselnik? Like, who the fuck are these names? Because like they have, they
Yeah.
have odd names,
Right.
and next like 4 or 5 years later, they're on top of the game right
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
You know, it's pretty funny how that
Arena
works.
sellout.
I just noted they put Snell in. I thought they were starting him for the Rays.
Yeah,
And they started somebody else, and I thought they were going to start Snell. That seemed
they
odd.
giving him a break or something.
I think
No.
he might have gotten strained in practice. I don't remember. I don't follow
was that it?
baseball.
I don't know.
Snell.
He closed Tuesday
Yeah.
night, but he just threw.
Yeah.
He didn't throw more than 20 pitches.
Right.
But
It's a
anyway.
4th inning. So.
Exactly. But anyway. Well, first time Amy came down here, when I booked her as a headliner, I had several club owners tell me, they go, she can't close, she doesn't have enough time. And her agent swore to God that she had solid 45. And they went, no, she doesn't. And so when I picked her up at the airport, driving over to the hotel or whatever, I said, look, Amy, I'm not asking you this to put you down or anything like that. Or I said, I don't want you up on stage trying to do something that you're not prepared to do. I want you to have a good experience here. How much time are you comfortable with? And she told me, right, she said 20, 25. I said, okay, that's cool. Do that. I mean, if you're having fun with them and it goes longer, but don't do, I'm going to expect you to do 20 to 25. I said, it's easy, man. I said, if we want to, I can do 30, put a middle in to do 30, you do 25 to 30. That's enough show. I mean, it's plenty. I said, have you ever done improvisation before? She went, nope. I said, look, if you're willing to do it, I can teach you a couple of very easy improvs that you and I can do at the end of the show. I said, I watched you on Last Comic Standing. I'm just going to tell you the truth. I thought you were funnier off stage than on stage. You were funny on stage, but you were just as funny off stage.
Yeah.
I said, you're somebody that you're a young comic that when you really come into your own, when you realize, when you get comfortable with just being you funny, you know what I mean? Trust that.
Right.
I mean,
When it's you up there.
You're hilarious. And I mean, you know, because you don't know that yet, so you're still doing material that's kind of the stuff you see other people do,
right?
Stuff like, rather than just what your instincts are.
Yeah.
And so she's fearless.
Yeah.
She's just fucking fearless, and as everybody knows now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she was like, "I'll do improv with you." I go, "Great." And we went out and did 2 improvs. I think a fill in the blank, and I don't remember what the other one was, but we did a couple of easy improvs. Maybe we told a story, storytelling where we just passed the story back and forth, something like that. And every night we would the 2 improvs would last another 20 minutes, at least 10 minutes on each one. Well, she did her 25. We do the 2 improvs. There's your headline set.
Right.
Had a blast. Funny as shit every time. And she did that the first 2 times she came in, and then the 3rd time she came in, she goes, "Les, we don't need to do the improv anymore. I got it." I said, "Nah, I like doing the improv." She goes, "We don't need to do the improv anymore. I got it." Okay.
And she had it, right?
And something too was at that point we had the 2-bedroom house.
Oh yeah.
Right behind the club. Very nice house. Very well furnished. I mean, we've always put the comics up in a very comfortable, nice place.
For sure.
But she was it was just, and we didn't put anybody with her. I never put a female comic with another comic that they don't know.
Right.
And approve it, ever. It's too weird.
Yeah.
And so, but she got in there that first night, and she's by herself, and she's in a house, and it was just somebody could break. She was
eerie.
uncomfortable, and she could have called me and said, "Hey, Les," like most anybody else would. "Hey, Les, and she was doing pretty well by then. She was selling tickets, and I mean, I was paying her pretty good money. I mean, I don't know what she's making then, but she was doing pretty well.
Yeah.
I think I was picking her up. I said, "I'll come by and get you." She goes, "Don't worry about it. I got a ride." She goes, "I'm not at the house." "You're not at the house? Is everything all right?" She goes, "I was just a little uncomfortable being by myself. The house is fine, but she goes, "I just checked into a hotel." I go, "Where are you?" She goes, "The Ritz." I go, "Oh. Well, good for you." But you know what I loved about her was she didn't call me and said, "I can't stay at the house. I need a hotel."
Yeah.
She just
took care of herself.
went down. She just grabbed her shit, called a cab, called the Ritz. "You got a room? How much is it?" Cool.
Yeah.
She went down there. She paid for it.
Oh, wow.
Never asked me anything. You know what I mean? And
That's a big girl.
That's a big girl.
Yeah,
That's a big girl. Big panties girl.
That's a big fan.
And I go, that's not most
No.
comedians would never. They whine and bitch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if she had to call me and said, "Look, I'm really not comfortable," I wouldn't have put her in the Ritz.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'd have put her in a nice hotel.
Right.
I wouldn't have put her in a shit hotel.
Yeah.
I'd have put her in a decent hotel.
Sure.
And And she probably thought about it, and she goes, "Well, I want to get a hotel. Oh, there's a Ritz here. Well, I can call Les, but he ain't putting me in the fucking Ritz. And that's where I want to stay, so I'll just go."
Yeah,
But
that's an
that was
adult
great.
thing to do.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was like, fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's
great.
Yeah, she was awesome.
It's
I know when
amazing.
she came to Tampa and got on stage, and I guess she caught some heat for slamming
I saw
Tampa.
that. Yeah,
something slamming Tampa.
It
I
was
had people ask
Trump
me,
or
I actually
something.
had a news channel call me. Go,
No
"We would like
shit.
a statement from you. Amy's played your club, Donna. What do you think about what she said?" And I go, "Have you seen her show?
Yeah.
Have you seen her show? Have you seen what she does?"
Yeah, exactly.
That shocked people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
She said that. I said, What the fuck?
Yeah.
You know, did everybody go see Amy Schumer and never seen her before?
Yeah.
I said,
For
"You're
real?
fucking stupid.
That's
Of
a good
course,
point.
That's what she does.
Yeah.
That'd be
you
like
know.
complaining about seeing Jeff Dunham, but you're scared of puppets or something like
Yeah,
that.
well,
How
yeah.
far
It'd
removed
be
are
like going
you?
to see
Yeah.
Louis C.K. when
Yeah.
he came and being like, "Well, that guy was offensive."
Yeah.
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 Yeah, no shit.
I mean, what the fuck?
That's how he bills it.
Idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a good point.
Sure, of course it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did they do the research? Did you-
Yeah.
Did you
There's
bother? Did you
Google.
bother to even look
You
up the
got
comic?
YouTube.
Fuck.
Just watch one of her bits before you drop $80 at a theater or whatever. That's how you
We
choose
saw
your
her in-
entertainment.
She wasn't like that in her last movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no.
Well, yeah, she was
it
with.
ain't a movie. Dumb
Yeah.
shit.
Fucking movie.
Stand up. You know.
That's some funny stuff.
Yeah, it's gotta be a co-starring LeBron James.
I like yeah, right, exactly. I like Bill Burr's theory on like the outrage. He's like, I think it's like 8 people.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
would agree.
Because I think it's like 8-9 people on a Twitter feed, and then everybody thinks it's like a big thing.
I would
Yeah.
totally agree. with
He
that.
was talking to like Bert
Totally
Kreischer
agree.
because like
Yeah.
something he did something, and he's like, and people were offended, and he called Burr for like counseling, and he's like, yeah, a lot of people are upset, and Burr's like, who's upset? Your neighbor? You see
Yeah.
these people? Then you have nothing to
Yeah.
worry about it.
Yeah,
It's
they
just-
burn it
yeah.
on, they knocking on your door. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I really do. I think it's like a few people that make a big stink on it, and
Yeah.
they start a problem.
That's
Like
exactly right.
I saw Pete Davidson from SNL got in trouble. He was at UCF.
sorry.
Uh-huh.
Was it UCF?
Yeah,
I
it
think
was UCF.
And part of this contract was you gotta put your fucking phones away.
Yeah.
And people were filming him, and he's like, put your fucking phones away, you little assholes. And he called them privileged little assholes, and then proceeded to go on with the show and had a very successful show. But the way that the clickbait articles that they wrote about it was like, he slams kids for being privileged little assholes and bombs
yeah.
on stage. Pete Davidson's losing his mind. You know what I mean? And it's like, no,
Sure.
I
Well,
don't
once
know.
again,
It's all fucking
it's
bullshit.
the media. Just,
Yeah.
Clickbait.
I mean, when Trump goes out there and rants on all the fake news, and which is not all fake news, but a lot of it is not
Genuine.
It's stretched.
accurate.
Yeah.
It's not accurate.
No.
And because they're selling.
Right.
They're trying to create some. They're taking anything they can out of context and blowing it up so that they can get more attention, so they can sell advertising.
Exactly.
And
Cialis.
as soon as news went to 24 hours a day,
Oh, yeah.
on fucking 40 different channels,
It's too much pressure
Well,
on
you
the
go.
news.
They're competitors now, and they have to sell advertising to stay
Yeah.
afloat, and so they got to figure out what kind of sponsors they're going to get, which means we have to kind of pattern what we say and how we say it towards what our sponsors
Right.
are, and yeah, that's like, well, yeah, you're
Yeah.
getting information,
Right.
but
Yeah.
you're getting it from that perspective, and it's just like, if you want to say, well, that was the news. Well, yeah, that's the Bible. But how many Christian religions are there?
Right.
Hundreds.
There's so
Yeah.
many denominations.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hundreds. Because everybody interprets
Yeah.
those words,
Yeah.
same words, same thing.
Yeah.
But this is what I think it means, and that's what the news has become. I saw there was a
Filtered.
guy on NPR the other day that was talking about the software now that where they can put your face on
Deepfake?
another body,
Right.
Yeah.
and basically make you do anything. They can
Right.
they can have you having sex with a child.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And put it up there. And he goes, it's getting so sophisticated within a very short time. And he goes, I'm talking about a year or two. It's going to be so sophisticated, you're not going to be able to tell. You will have to take it to a professional, like tech pro that can do what they need to do to prove that wasn't you.
Tamper.
Yeah.
with
You
it.
know what I mean? That's something else. And then
That's crazy.
you'll have to take it, and that'll take time. You know what I mean? So something is released about you that is totally not you doing something abhorrent because someone wants to.
All right.
Oh, sorry.
It's crazy. I know exactly what you're talking about, the deep fake.
Yeah. There's a big thing
It's
with
coming.
the porn and everything with the
Yeah.
deep fakes.
It's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And then you can get sued. Like you
Yeah.
can put, you could put Christian Bale in a porn video and,
Yeah,
and
or-
sell it, and like
Yeah.
at that point, people just that are in love with Christian Bale can now masturbate to Christian Bale.
Yeah.
You know what
I mean,
And-
I'm not
and there's-
complaining about
There's
that.
there's not a thing he can do about it. Yeah,
No.
he's like Batman.
Yeah.
Where is she? Where are the other drugs going? Where are they? Yeah, it's just fucking crazy. I don't know. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. Hey,
All right.
thank you, Austin.
No
and
problem.
Thank you
Thanks
to
for
everybody
having
else.
me. This was awesome.
It was fun. We got to hang out.
Yeah.
Right? To hang out in the green room.
Got
First
to-
time here.
Yeah, I got a lot of wisdom from Les and Norm.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like a learning podcast. you
Yeah,
know?
that was. I was just.
Yeah, that's why I try to bring you guys in
Yeah,
here.
I didn't feel like talking. I just wanted to, just absorb everything that he
You
was
should.
saying.
You
Just-
should.
Yeah.
That's what you gotta do.
Yeah.
That's why I encourage a lot of other up and coming comedians listen to this fucking podcast. Because you might learn some shit. There's a lot
Oh
of
no,
gold.
I've learned so much.
A lot of gold that
I'm-
spits out.
I'm very glad that I've
Yeah.
could come here to do this.
Yeah. It's sometimes it's scary. Like he was kind of freaking me out a little bit, making me think about my 40-year plan. I'm like, oh
Right.
shit, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy
Yeah, exactly.
who's fucking selling T-shirts on the side of the road.
Oh, I know. You see some of those guys that look so dead in the eyes.
They
It's
do.
Like,
Yeah.
and they're selling their T-shirts and their merch. It's
Yeah.
like-
That's why I appreciate Dave Attell. I'm like, man, he knew what he wanted to do.
Right.
He didn't know. So in other words, anything that broke that went past that expectation was great. So when he had Insomniac, that was great. He didn't plan for that. That was his goal.
Yeah.
Wasn't to get Insomniac, a TV show. He just wanted to be a road comic. He just wanted to be on the fucking road. Never got married. Never had
Right.
kids. None of that shit.
But he's
happier
absolutely
than ever.
prolific
And he's fucking amazing.
comedian. Yeah, every single person they regard him as one of the best.
Oh, he's one of the best joke tellers, and he's just
Oh,
so
yeah.
good. So,
Oh, yeah.
So good on stage. I mean, fuck.
Did you watch
Road
Something's-
Work?
No, not that. Well,
Road Work was my
Something's
one of my
Burning. I was
favorite.
gonna say
No,
with
no.
Burt Kreischer. It's
No.
Attell and Gilbert Gottfried.
No shit.
Fantastic.
Wow.
The two of them, because Attell and Gottfried.
They bounce
they're
off each
just, Oh, they're so great.
Have you seen Bumpin' Mics?
Yes, I did.
That was great.
I love that.
I loved everything they did
Yeah.
there. Him and Jeffrey. Jeffrey Ross is another guy. I don't think
right.
I don't think he ever really planned to be, that big name.
No, he just kind of
loved
found
it.
his way into the roasting, and it stuck.
And he's good at it. He
Yeah.
found his niche. Yeah.
Exactly.
And so did Dave. I think that we all have to do that.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about. I'll talk to you a little bit off
Yeah.
mic about what I thought. But hey man, thanks for being here.
Yeah,
and
no
we're
problem,
gonna try
man,
to go
anytime.
and jet over this open mic, guys. So if you're listening and you're a comedian, you should work your ass off and get places. Bye. Good night. Yes. Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Conversation Podcast here at Mccurdy's Comedy Theater. Please go to our website, mccurdyscomedy.com, for all of our upcoming shows and events. We actually have a lot of great headliners coming in at the end of the year and at the beginning of next year, so please check that out. If you like Norm Stoltz, please follow him at his website at normstulz.com. That's NORMSTULZ.com. And if you like Chris Gorges, please go to his website, gorgescomedy.com. That's GORGES comedy.com. And Austin Young, I think he's on Twitter and Facebook. Just look him up, Austin, AUSTIN YOUNG. He's a giant person. And he's a huge Florida fan, so you can't miss him. Look for him on Facebook. He'll be killing it real soon. All right, guys, thank you again, and we'll see you next time.